It was a famous victory for the Kangaroos the last time these sides met in round one. Glenn Archer kicking the winning goal in his 200th game. Set to go here. It's round 16 action. Vital clash between the Kangaroos and Port Adelaide at Optus Oval. Umpire throws it in the air. Primus and Burton both seem to mistime their jumps. And a free kick infringement against Matthew Primus. It's going the way of Matthew Burton. So he'll come up with the first effective disposal of the game. No one on the mark. So he runs away out of the centre. Thumps it long inside 50 for the Kangaroos. Morell's there, so's Rocker. Opportunity for the Roos at ground level. Rocker slaps it to open space. Stevens, good hands. Franco just juggled it. Simpson came in to lay a tackle on him. It comes to Hardwick. And he dribbles the ball out towards the boundary line and finds it for a throw-in about 40 metres out from the Kangaroo goal.
Great play by Rocker before. Into the centre corridor, because that's where you're going to score the goals rather than hitting the ball at the offside. That was a great bit of play by Rocker.
So a throw-in attack for the Kangaroos. Primus in front, tried to kick it out of mid-air. Another ruck infringement. This time it's going the way of Port Adelaide. And their skipper, Matthew Primus, dishes off with a handball to Nick Stevens. He tried to take it outside 50, looking for Wakeland. But the kick was all directed. The mark taken by Severio Rocker. We'll get a chance to see what the wind is doing here from Severio. He's about 55 to 60 metres out. Here's the angle from behind him. And 55 out, Severio Rocker. Plenty of distance on the kick. Went right to the line, just the wrong side of the post for the Kangaroos, and through for the opening score of the match. A minor to Severio Rocker.
Well, such an important player for the Kangaroos, Severio Rocker. Marking power across that half-forward line. Has kicked 32 goals for the season. Struggled against Fremantle last week, but most of the Kangaroos did. It was only after half-time that we had the likes of Harvey and particularly King and Archer. They were just fantastic, and Sinclair played a great third quarter as well. Port Adelaide have never defeated the Kangaroos, and Jew kicking in is a magnificent kick. Well inside the centre square. Baird went up high, went the big punch. Archer at the back. He's got Cockatoo Collins to beat. Could be quicker at ground level. Pulled off the ball. Harvey does well. Handball didn't really hit a target. Going in hard also was Stevens. He caught Cochrane high, number 45 for the Kangaroos. Caught him on the way through. And a little bit groggy. And Cochrane has come into the side replacing Shannon Grant. You'll see here coming through where just being caught high then was Cochrane. So Cochrane's got the tagging job playing on Nick Stevens, one of their key ball winners for Port Power. And again, it's all tied up.
Rawlings has got Franco, KB. Rawlings did the job on Peter Bell after half-time last week, so it will be interesting to see how he goes with this quality play in Franco.
Already the Kangaroos bench barking instructions. Burton does well, taken by Teague, wrapped up in the tackle, and then dumped by Primus. Well, the third week in a row that Port Adelaide have been travelling. Perth, Sydney, Melbourne. They've won 8 on the trot. In fact, they've won 12 out of the last 13. We've got to go back to round 7 when Brisbane inflicted their last defeat. Robbins finds Harvey. They'll have to work hard at ground level. The midfield's very strong for Port Power. Montgomery's had a great season, and he'll take the free kick. And straight away, they waste no time as Stevens goes wide, looking for the loose player. Michael Stevens. Plenty of time. Now he's just got to weigh up the options. Conceded a bit of ground, then goes short. The kicks are poor, but luck's of fortune. Hardwick's got it inside 50. Corns looks dangerous on the stretch. Couldn't take it. Harding tried to tickle the ball along. Cockatoo Collins caught high. He will take the free kick. Well, he's booted 15 goals for the season, and that could be a good matchup too. Due there on young Teague, who's very strong at the ball, but caught high then by Sinclair. Cockatoo Collins. He'll be shooting from 45 metres. It's on a 45-degree angle. We'll have to bring it back right to left, straight through the centre.
Right from the very first bounce, these boys look as though they're here to play Port Adelaide, because the stakes are enormous, and so are the stakes for the Roos. But if Choco mentioned during the week at his press conference that maybe they were a bit tired. They certainly don't look tired here, KB, and they are full of running right from the first bounce.
Kevin Sheedy wouldn't like that. Stevenson Hardwick having a bit of a smile out in the field. Doesn't like opponents having a bit of a chin wag and a bit of a chat and a bit of a laugh.
So the opening goal to Port Adelaide through Shea Cockatoo-Collins. Bit of niggle and feeling in this game. Primus tried to take it out of the ruck. It's grabbed by Robbins. Kicks towards centre half forward. Here's Colbert. Just down the shoulder early on and takes a great one-handed mark. Looked like his season was over last weekend. He's 52 metres out from goal. Thumps it high towards the goal square. Plenty of players at the fall of this one. Here comes Morrell. Couldn't quite bring it down. Opportunity at ground level for Port Adelaide to clear up. I said it was a throw. Free kick will go to the Kangaroos. So Darryl Wakeland there on screen. The ball came in quick and high from Lee Colbert, and plenty of players around it. Morrell almost brought it to ground.
Just getting back to Lee Colbert, I mean, which he got rid of Matthew Bishop then just with the use of his body was exceptional. So obviously everything's all right at the moment. We just hope he doesn't get a belt on it.
So the ball comes back to the skipper, Anthony Stevens, playing against his brother Michael this afternoon. And he has it no more than about 15 metres out from goal. Minimal angle to speak of. And that's what Stevens has in front of him. In he comes. And just guides it through the inside of the left post. And the Kangaroos have their first through their skipper, Anthony Stevens. The Roos 1-1. Port Adelaide one straight goal. We've gone 6.5 minutes in the opening term.
There's plenty of feeling out there just after Stevo kicked that goal. He's just made a beeline for Josh Carr.
There's the brothers.
Just to let him know that they're here for business, and just the body language of the Roos. I mean, when Stevo was just about to take his kick, they're all milling around, talking to one another, really pumping each other's tyres up. And that's a really good sign early on.
Kangaroos 1-1-7. Port Adelaide, one straight goal, 6. Anthony Stevens, what a mighty leader. And a player he's been for the Kangaroos. Last week he was just tremendous in that last quarter against Fremantle. 4 or 5 of their top players stood up and they were counted. Primus has got it. The tackle came from Stevens. He's just too big and strong. Just crashed his way through Wanganeen with a long bomb. Puts it through for a behind. He's a strong man, Matthew Primus. Looked like Jonah Lomu playing rugby. Just couldn't hold him. Makepeace. To bring the ball back into play for the Kangaroos. Just caught in 2 minds. Does well. Kicks to the edge of the square. Looking for Burton. Does well. Not usually renowned for his strong body work, but he's hot there going the way of Treadray. Harvey on the charge to 50. Morrell pops a shot in the back. Harvey 45 metres out. Can kick a goal. He's off target. A bad miss.
Well, he knows where the goals are, young Brent Harvey, but unfortunately on that occasion, didn't kick truly enough. But good signs early for the Roos.
So Kingsley with a kick in for Port Adelaide. Goes straight up the middle and finds Matthew Bishop. So Bishop at defensive 30 for Port Adelaide. Brings it towards the members' side here at Optus Oval. Kazi's target. Slippery conditions underfoot. Rocker went to ground, tried to contest at ground level. Port Adelaide with the numbers through Morgan. Gets his first kick in league football. Adam Morgan towards half forward. Primus. Little handball over the top. He's looking for Carr. Treadray tries to break the King tackle and does. From 55 metres out, it's an ugly looking kick off the boot. It misses the lot. And out of bounds for a throw in. Adam Morgan, that was his first kick. It's actually his second game. But last week didn't actually get a possession. So great moment for him.
Actually, Josh Carr was very fortunate, and then Glenn Archer didn't hit him right down the middle. He was set up there, and he was very fortunate that Glenn didn't take him out in a legitimate manner.
Throw in deep in attack for Port Adelaide. Primus palms it down. Dew and Teague, they're working at ground level. Dew goes again, tries to spin out of the Teague tackle. It's pinched by Archer. Loops a handball over the top to Stevens. Looks to keep it alive and does. Kangaroos will attack around the outer side. Makepeace runs away from Corns. He's got some time and space now. Looks up, assesses his options. Kicks towards half forward. Morrell's his target, will fly from behind. Didn't quite have enough of it. Play on's the call. Kingsley at ground level, twisting and turning. Handball towards Cockatoo-Collins. He fumbles it towards the line. And we'll have a throw in on the outer side.
Geez, Morrell was stiff then. I mean, if his own teammate didn't knock the ball away from him, that mark could have nearly been paid.
Here it is on replay. Off the top of his opponent's head. Bit of everything there. Morrell presenting himself early this afternoon. Burton casting the role of a rover. Gives a handball to Stevens. Low trajectory kick towards half forward. Missed its target. Picked up by Wanganeen. Back around the outer wing. Corns versus Martin. At ground level, Cockatoo Collins. Taken in the tackle by McMartin. Umpire comes in and says no chance to get rid of it. We'll have a bounce.
If Martin and Archer can do the job on Corns and Treadrow, they'll go a long way this afternoon for winning this game. Most important, those two boys really put their hand up here, which they have done for many years.
Umpire throws it up. Stevens tries to work it round the boundary line and does so. Gains an extra 30 metres for his side. We'll have a throw in on centre wing. It's Kangaroos 1-2-8. Port Adelaide 1-1-7. 10.5 minutes gone here at Optus Oval.
Burton and Primus will do battle. Very important if you can get the first hand on the ball in these ruck contests, because both sides very strong in the midfield. Burton, a couple of handy possessions. Cochrane grabbed that time by Stevens and finally dumped. And it's a ball up. So Cochrane is a noted tagger for the Kangaroos. He's coming to the side replacing Grant, who actually came to the side replacing Porter. So there's been several changes for the Kangaroos. And Cochrane will have that job on that major possession winner. For Port Power, Baird couldn't hit a target. Tumbled back towards 50, looking for Treadray. Archer. Magnificent defensive player. Good fist to the ball. That's why he's been one of the best defenders in the game. Dylan Smith and Petrie, a couple of youngsters on the boundary line for the Kangaroos. Throwing on 50, so a chance for Port Power. Primus looked to be manhandled. Franco, good in close. Primus tries to bullock his way clear. Take two. Harvey tickling the ball long in front. Franco, good in close as well. Chance for Port Power, but pounced on this time by Makepeace. Comes away from half back and kicks the space. And reading it well was Hardwick. What a great pick-up he's been from the Bombers. He's been a star for Port. This cracked defence. Treadray is always going to be a target up forward. Too much carry on the ball. Stevens will just pump the ball wide. Montgomery will see it over for a toss back in. So the Kangaroos 1-2-8. Port Adelaide 1-1-7.
What Treadray will experience this afternoon is Archer will wear him like a second skin, exactly like he's done in the last two contests. So Treadray will have to, he's got his work cut out there this afternoon to get on top of Glenn Archer.
Port Adelaide dominating the early clearances 7-3, and there's another one for James, although the tackle came from Teague and just dispossessed him. Ball work forward for the Kangaroos now. Colbert. Bishop came in to apply some physical pressure. Back to Stevens, to Cochrane. Anthony Stevens, 6 possessions, goes inside 50. Here's Morrell. He's got hands to a couple. And finally he's grabbed one just inside the 50. Similar position to where Severio Roca made the distance from. He's just a little bit closer. So Morrell from about 48 metres out, kick on its way. Just works it back nicely on the breeze. And pops it through for the Kangaroos' second goal. The Roos 2-2-14, Port Adelaide 1-1-7. Digby Morrell just got a bit of space on that occasion, Russell, and converted truly.
Got a bit of space, but it was all set up by Lee Colbert. For such a big man to work on the ground like he did then, and to squirt the handball out to a teammate in front, and then bang, off they go and they kick a goal. Great work on the ground by Colbert, as we can see here. Ooh.
And that man on screen has kicked his 12th goal for the season. Wants to play well. He wants to stay on the Kangaroos senior list because it's out of him and John Baird. They'll have to go back. One of them have to go back and back towards the rookie list. So they're both having to play well. Taken by Morgan. Rockets the ball wide. Wakeland just tried to weave his way out of trouble. Wanganeen cleans up at half back. Goes short. Finds James. Loves to be a playmaker. Drills the ball up, looking for Stevens. Looked like it was manhandled that time by Cochrane, who has put a lot of good players out of business. Great smother, super smother that time by Stevens. Needed support, picked up by Robbins. Just hacks the ball back towards the edge of the centre square. Big pack of players. And the whistle's gone. It's a free kick to the Kangaroos and will go to Colbert. Well, he's the miracle man. Last week we were told he had a dislocated shoulder. More than likely would miss the rest of the season. Then they said 1 week or 2 weeks, and here he is playing today. Stevens, backing back, has taken the mark. Well, that took a lot of courage. And he's running hot. There's a red alert. 6 disposals in the last 10 minutes. So leading from the front.
When you talk about courage, this bloke certainly comes to mind. He's just has been an unbelievable servant for this club for many, many years. And as captain, he really shows the way.
Well, going for his second goal. Stevens from 45 metres out. Way off target, but Morrell was in 2 minds to play on. He's very strong overhead. And has been a live wire in this first quarter. Certainly a focal point up front for the Kangaroos and getting plenty of support. It's a tough angle and it's a tough breeze at Optus Oval. Morrell to bring up the Kangaroos' third goal. They lead 14-7. This to put them 13 points in front. And he's got it.
You really got to admire the way Digby Morrell goes about his work. I mean, he only knows one way. He works extremely hard, not only offensively and taking marks like he just did then, but he works exceptionally hard when he hasn't got the hands on the footy. He'll run, he'll chase, he'll tackle, he'll do all those discipline things.
So 2 possessions to Digby Morrell, 2 marks and 2 goals. Bright start for him, and a couple more that he just about could have had as well. It's a handy start for the Kangaroos. The Roos by 13 points, 3-2-20. Port Adelaide 1-1-7. 10 minutes remaining in this opening term at Optus Oval. Primus got the hit out. But tapped it into the path of Cochrane. Floats a kick inside 50. Montgomery flies from back. Here's the dangerous picket at ground level. Tries to evade Wanganeen, who did brilliantly well. Just dived on the football and won it for Port Adelaide. Got it to Hardwick. Hardwick thumps it back into the centre. Jew's got 3 to beat. One of them is Harvey. Brent Harvey bursts through the middle of Optus Oval, runs away from Stevens. Goes inside 50, Morrell again at ground level. It comes to the back, Hardwick. Some heavy work in that pack. The ball towards the outer wing. Cochrane can't keep it in. And Brett Montgomery was the man who had to stand under that approaching pack. He's got up a little bit proppy.
Well, we just saw how committed these boys are. I mean, there's about 6 or 7 blokes who just threw themselves at the footy. Great stuff to be watching.
He got Severio Rocca's knee fair square in his back or thigh or buttock. Here's Primus at ground level. Cochrane over the top of him. Umpire says holding the ball. Matthew Primus making no attempt to get it out of there. He's not too happy. The umpire says that'll be 50. Thank you, Matthew, for the special comments, but we'll leave those to Russell Green.
Well, it certainly was a free kick. He did grab the ball, he brought it back in, he was looking around to feed it off to somebody, and the rules state that if you tell the umpire where to go in no uncertain manner, you are going to be penalised another 50, and it's a rather undisciplined act.
There's a blood rule as well. Port Adelaide player, Gavin Wanganeen. In fact, it's Matthew Bishop coming off. There's Matthew Primus just giving his thoughts to the umpire. You can see just a little nick above the right eye there of Matthew Bishop.
I thought he was a bit tough getting the free kick against him because he went to ground in the contest, and if you go to ground in the contest, then you've got to be given every opportunity to get rid of the ball. It's not as if he actually threw himself on the ball, and I think he was upset. That was a bit silly because you will get 50 metres, but I think it was very tough to get the free kick against him.
So here's Cochrane.
Well, as long as they're consistent, Kevin, if they call the way they call that one, as long as they call all of the other ones, they're going to pop up this afternoon. That's what we want, is some consistency from the umpires.
Well, the rule is quite definite. If you dive on the ball, you've got to knock it out with a one action. And if you go to ground in a contest, well, then the umpire obviously will give you every opportunity to get rid of the ball. And then, of course, they came over the top and tied him up. I don't think he had any chance at all.
So Cochrane from 15 metres out. Kick on its way. He's popped it through. And the Roos have got a fantastic start here at Optus Oval. So Stuart Cochrane was a late inclusion for Shannon Grant. He gets on the score sheet this afternoon as Lee Harding comes to the bench to be replaced by John Baird. And it's the Kangaroos by 19 points as we approach time on in the first term.
Well, look, they've Both sides have come here, obviously, to play this afternoon. Big stakes for both sides. Top position for Port Adelaide and the Roos. If they win, they could actually move into the top 8. And you can see they're just the emotion out there, the way in which they're backing each other up is great.
Kangaroos by 19 points, 26 plays 7. And Burton against Lade. Strong tackle by Stevens. That's a feature of his game. And so far, Port Power just haven't been able to get that ascendancy in the midfield. You can see Carr there with the ball, gets up off the ground.
Centre clearances, KB, 4-1 in favour of the Kangaroos so far in this game.
And Robbins has been showing a lot of attention to Josh Carr as well, who's one of the stars for Port Power. Stevens comes away with the ball. Sinclair tried to smash it forwards. Burgoyne, danger man. Long bomb, big kick. It's off target with the breeze. In fact, it's such a swirly breeze here. At some stages from the outer side of the ground kicking in, you'll have the breeze behind you. And maybe coming around in front of the stands here, in front of the John Elliott stand, you could be kicking into the breeze. So it's very choppy at Optus Oval. Not easy for the players. King still squeezed up in the back pocket. Kangaroos by 18 points. Harvey goes short, finds Clayton. Stevens has had it 7 times. Cochrane 5, Harvey 5, and Burton 4 for the Kangaroos. And Hardwick, main possession winner for Port Power with 5, and Primus with 4. Big pack of players. Morgan just somehow weaved his way out of trouble. Couldn't really get enough purchase on the ball. Coming over the top that time was Corns, and he's giving away the free kick.
You got Simpson on Franco, which is interesting. They pushed everyone up the ground. It's only Franco and Stevens at this particular stage in the offensive side for Port Adelaide.
Harvey finds big spine, comes away, pumps the ball inside 50. Colin was in front. He clashed with Digby Morrell. Burgoyne on the charge from half back, unloads a big bomb inside 50. The race is on. This is going to bounce. Simpson's getting back. He's got Franco to beat, and finally takes it through for a behind.
Adam Simpson did the discipline thing then. He knew if he could have taken possession of the footy.
Wonderful spoil from Digby Morrell. Very effective. Sinclair. Around the wing. Makepeace. Got some time and space. Runs away from Primus. Now cuts inboard. Goes inside 50 looking for Rocker. Got one hand to it, but never a chance to mark at ground level. Morrell puts his body in, as does Montgomery. They pile in on top of Brett Montgomery. Umpire says I bounce.
Huge desperation by Morrell then. I mean, all he knows is he wants to get in there and get that footy. He's a forward, can kick goal. And that we spoke about, one of his strengths, it was the way in which he contested that loose footy. Great effort.
Really is playing like his spot on the senior list is on the line, isn't he? He goes in again, Digby Morrell. Socket off the ground there by Rocker. Morrell again at ground level. Hardwick tries to hack it out of the 50, only as far as Harvey. Plays on, steps inside his man, runs to 45. High kick towards the goal square. There's Baird. Punched away by Montgomery. Baird at ground level, couldn't get 2 hands free. He goes again, John Baird. Snaps it back across his body, but misses everything. And it's out of bounds on the full. So it's the Roos by 17 points. Just over 6 minutes remaining in the opening term. Inside 50s, 12-7 in favour of the Kangaroos. Total disposals 47-34 in their favour. Hardwick comes up for his 7th possession. Outside the 50, Wakeland went up. At ground level, Burgoyne. Hassled off it by Robbins. Lade slides in for Port Adelaide. Tunnel walls it through his legs towards the boundary line, and Treadray takes it over. Throw in just outside the 50 for the Kangaroos. Ball hit the boundary umpire there. Looked to be already over the line before it did so. And a throw in. Lade and Burton to the front of the contest. Josh Carr dribbled it towards the line. Hit Hardwick in the back of the head, really. Ball goes back inside the 50. And again finds the boundary line. It was touched off the boot, so we'll have a throw in. There's John Baird sitting down for the Kangaroos. Had a brief spell on the ground. Went forward, had a couple of possessions. Sits back down again. Burton against Lade. Wakeland there, under pressure. Wanganeen taken down and a tackle by Colbert. Play-on's the call. Pickett on the boundary line. No space to work in there. Gets it to Robbins. He tries to keep it alive, only as far as Morgan. who handballs it through and concedes the rush behind. The Kangaroos 4-3-27, Port Adelaide 1-3-9. The margin now 3 straight goals.
Some great signs here for the Kangaroos. They were very sluggish last week against Fremantle. Really struggled to get the game going in the first half, but they've opened very well in this first quarter today.
Tackles 21-6 KB, so they're working very hard when they don't have the ball.
Well, they've got this marvellous record against Port Adelaide. 8 times they've played, and the Kangaroos have won on every occasion. And young Morgan from Oakley under-18s, number 23 for Port Power, sees the ball over the line. Harvey has been very good in this first quarter. He's the leading possession winner for the Kangaroos. He's had 8 and 5 in the past 10 minutes. So a chance for the Kangaroos. Good 65, 70 metres out from goal as we see Stevens puts it over the line for a throwback. Stevens has been picked up by Cochrane, who came into the side. And we know Stevens is one of the generators for Port Power. Such a strong midfield. Kingsley has had a fantastic season as well. And Harvey has marked it. There's 15 metres for line. Michael Stevens just arguing the point. Harvey. Over 40 possessions against Collingwood. Last few weeks has been fantastic against St Kilda. And against Fremantle also after half-time, so he's in good form. Colbert, this could bounce. It's the behind post, does it? So it's a boundary throw-in. So that man on screen, Colbert. No one thought they'd see him playing today after dislocating a shoulder, but he's back. Petrie takes the front position. Montgomery hurries the kick, smothered off the boot. Chance for the Kangaroos, working hard. Rawlings tumbles the ball forward. King pulled off the ball. Corns is caught. Great tackle by Petrie. Ties it up. And it's a ball up just 15 metres out from goal.
Heavy rain falling again here at Optus Oval, blowing fairly severely to the left of screen. And Russell, as we mentioned, the Kangaroos working hard off the ball. 23 tackles to 7, but also 8 shepherds to 1. So whether they've got the ball or not, they're doing the percentage things.
Well, they've got to maintain that, not just as this first quarter, because we know Port Adelaide are a side that will work and will continue to work hard.
Free kick going Port Adelaide's way from that ruck contest.
We saw Richmond last night start off really well, but they fell away. The important thing is to maintain it. You just got to maintain it.
So Corns is taken high in the tackle, gets the free kick, takes it outside 50 and finds Montgomery. His third possession coming up. Got a man running for him. It's Wanganeen. Has Pickett to beat. Ball sits up beautifully for him. He can draw the man. He does so. He just chips it over the top towards Wakeland. And he marks about 60 metres out from goal. So Darryl Wakeland decides to go short. Finds his target. It's Schofield coming up for his first touch this afternoon. Started on the interchange bench. Averaging 21 possessions a game, Jared Schofield, this season. Cockatoo Collins offers a lead. That's ignored. Schofield switches wide. There's the Cockatoo Collins lead. It continued on. He'll receive the free kick in that marking contest. He's about 40 metres out from goal, Cockatoo Collins. Offered the first lead, Russell. Stopped. His opponent just backed off him there, Jess Sinclair, and Cockatoo Collins double leaded.
Well, he had the vast majority of the players back inside 50 defensive area for the Roos. And look, it was the way in which he just kept working. If you couldn't, the first one didn't open up, then just keep working, persevering. And it was unbelievable how that hole did open up. Magnificent kick, and Cockatoo Collins is on the end of it.
He's already kicked one. Kicked 16-12 for the season. And 45 metres out, Cockatoo Collins on its way. Didn't quite have the legs to get there. Petrie goes up and thumps it through for a rush behind. So Port Adelaide moved to 1-4-10. The Kangaroos are 4-3-27. The margin 17 points. Dying stages this opening term as Glenn Archer takes the mark in the back pocket. Squares it back to the defensive goal square and finds Brent Harvey.
Just under 3 minutes left in this first quarter. Kangaroos in control. Simpson.
First touch for Simpson.
Archer squeezed up in the back pocket. Shares the ball with Teague. Mighty Mick wants it short. Teague backs himself. Comes away from half back. to centre wing. Petrie's going to be the target. Big pack of players. Colbert was there for the Kangaroos, capped out that time. Picked up by Robbins, pounced on, kicks a high ball, back to 50. Lade's going to hit the ball hard, so's Corns, does well. Kept his eyes on the ball, Cockatoo Collins got to go hard. Makepeace, danger here for Port. Makepeace, patting the ball out in front, does well. Bounces to his feet, 35 metres out. Troy Makepeace across the face of goal. Still alive. Kept in play by Corns. Wants to draw the opponent. Digby Morrell was in slow motion. Lade does well that time and finds Wakeland. He's on half back. 4-3-27 the Kangaroos. 1-4-10 Port Adelaide. And Burgoyne finds some space. And a loose player in Hardwick. Back edge of the centre square. Smothered off the boot by Teague. That's what the Kangaroos are good at. They're making this a contest. No easy kicks, no easy handballs today for Port Adelaide. And going in hard is Rawlings. And they're flexing their muscles, the Kangaroos. Bang! Crash! Great tackle that time by Clayton. Held up on the edge of the centre square. And it's going to be a tough day for Port Adelaide.
Simpson, you mentioned, has only had one touch, but Franco also has only had one touch also. So in the context, he's doing his job, Simpson.
So a minute remaining in the opening term. It's the Roos by 17 points. Petrie flew high, missed the ball. Sinclair at ground level, wrapped up by Lade. They pile in on top of him. We'll have another bounce. Clearance is 14-5 in favour of the Kangaroos. They're doing very well around the stoppages, just putting physical pressure on Port Adelaide all around the ground at the moment. The Adelaiders aren't enjoying it too much. Lade on top of Petrie. How will the umpire see this one? The ball eventually comes out to Cochrane. Handballs it out. James, in fact, it was Kingsley grabbed when he didn't have possession. And he'll take it on defensive 50 with 31 seconds remaining on the clock. So Port Adelaide haven't been able to get a lot of run through the line so far in this quarter, Russell. We saw it once there with Hardwick, but his kick was smothered.
Yeah, they haven't been able to have much run because what is happening, they have been chased, they've been harassed, they've been tackled, thrown to the ground. It's a tribute to the Roos boys, but they must maintain it.
To the outer wing, Treadray goes inside the 50. Clever mark taken by Josh Carr. Be a very handy goal right on quarter time. Coming up for his second possession, Josh Carr. He's kicked 7 goals, 6 for the season. See here on replay, Anthony Stevens just worked under the ball on that occasion. So the siren sounds for quarter time. Josh Carr will have a kick after the siren. From directly in front, 45 metres out, Josh Carr leans back on it and pops it through for a very handy goal to Port Adelaide right on the quarter time siren. Kangaroos take the honours in the opening term. 4-3-27, Port Adelaide 2-4-16. It's the Kangaroos by 11 points in tough conditions here at Optus Oval.
Application that first quarter was absolutely terrible.
What was the main directive from that one?
Get the footy, get the footy, get the footy.
Thanks, Dean.
So Dean Bailey backing up exactly what we were talking about there, Russell. Mental application. The Roos came out really switched on and prepared to do the team thing as we start the second term. The margin is 11 points in favour of the Kangaroos. Guerra gets the first effective disposal of the term. Kicks it towards half forward. It bounces to 50. Corns tapped it on, kept it alive. Carr to Stevens. He runs to 40 metres out, pulls it back to Schofield. And he marks about 25 metres out directly in front. No surprise that Port Adelaide come out a bit fired up in the second quarter.
Well, they are a top side, and their pride was obviously hurt, dinted in that particular quarter. And as we know, look, this is what you would expect them to come out really revved up, having a real red-hot go, which they are. Well, it's just started. It's only been going 15 or 20 seconds, but the signs are positive at this particular stage.
It's the first time in 9 weeks that Port haven't led at quarter time. They've been brilliant starters. Here's Schofield, 25 metres out, directly in front. Kick on its way. Just stabs at it, pokes at it, and misses to the left-hand side. And behind are Jared Schofield. A couple other key stats in that opening term. Clearance is 14-6 in favour of the Kangaroos. Handball receives 8 apiece, which doesn't sound like much, but usually Port Adelaide are ranked 1 and the Kangaroos are ranked 16. Burton taps it over the back. Treadray gathers, bounces it inside 50, only as far as Mick Martin. Little dish off to Stevens. Stevens to Rawlings, and the Roos attack around the outer side. Harvey takes the mark. Just held up there by Chad Corns. Harvey now Kicks towards centre half forward. It goes inside 50. Morgan in best position for Port Adelaide. Wakeland at the back. Little handball. Release Stevens. Bit of work off the ball. Umpire's picked out a free kick. It's going the way off Port Adelaide. It's coming back to Nick Stevens. He'll take the kick off the back edge of the centre square.
Stevens has got Cochrane as his opponent today. He's going to make things tough. That's possession number 4, goes wide and finds Treadrake. He's on the half-back flank. He's a long, long way from goal. Covers a lot of territory. Running with the flight is Corns. He's on centre wing. Port trail by 10 points. Just trying to keep possession of the ball. Carr kicked that goal right on the quarter-time siren. So looking down for Jew. Was he tripped that time by Teague? No. Boundary throw-in. Just a glare back at the umpire. He was tripped.
Blokes like Schofield, Jew, Franco, Carr and Stevens have really got to lift this quarter because they hardly touched it in the first quarter.
Primus with his bulk and strength. Looking for Burgoyne. Guerra thought he hadn't lost it. Robbins does well, just tumbles the ball forward. Stevens running with the flight. Has to go hard. There's Cochrane. There's his shadow. And happy to thump the ball back over the line. Byron Pickett on screen has really struggled for the Kangaroos. His form has been a big disappointment over the last 5 or 6 weeks. And again today has really struggled to get into the game. Did start on the interchange bench. Burton versus Primus. They'll lock horns for most of the day. Primus takes the front position. Guerra on the charge inside 50. It's very hard to control your kicks, Russell, because it's very, very choppy, the breeze. It'd be very difficult to play.
Well, we saw Treadrake just about a minute ago, Kevin, trying to pass the ball off, and the way in which the ball swung back towards the boundary line indicates to us that it is very, very strong and blustery out there.
Well, the Kangaroos are very good in these sorts of conditions because they're a very efficient side. They don't need too many possessions to score. They always pump the ball deep into the forward line. Guerra paddles the ball along in front. He's on 50. Robbins is a desperate player. Does well. Forces the error. Corns under pressure from Rawlings. Tackling has been fierce by the Kangaroos. And there's a ball up on 50.
31 tackles to 9 now the count. Robbins has 6. Teague has 5. They're fantastic stats for the Kangaroos, who pride themselves on that sort of work off the ball. The bounce. Schofield tries to gather. Umpire will ball it up right on 50.
Not just the tackles, Jace, but also the shepherds and the blocking are very important of the ingredient in the way in which the North Melbourne boys play their game.
As we mentioned, 9 shepherds to 1 in that opening term. Holding in the contest. The free kick goes to Robbins. His 8th possession from defensive 50. Around the outer side, out in front of Morrell. Got hands to it. Sharked by Guerra. High kick towards the 50. Martin goes back. Off his hands. Makepeace head down, crashes through to Harvey. Scrubs a little kick out towards centre half back. It's gathered by Wanganeen. He runs away from the tacklers, runs to 25 metres out and sprays the kick out of bounds on the full. Disappointing finish there from Gavin Wanganeen on the burst. The Kangaroos want to move it quickly. Archer goes long outside defensive 50 and finds Jess Sinclair. Sinclair squares it up. Got a couple of men on the outer side. One of them is Rawlings. He chips over the top now to the run of Harvey. His 13th touch coming up. Loose man around the outer side is Clayton. Clayton gathers now 65 metres out from goal. Rocker is caught at the back. Coming over the top is Colbert. Juggles 1-2, not paid. Swings around onto his right boot. Pushed it high towards the goal square. Carr stood underneath it and was infringed. We'll take a free kick.
We spoke about earlier before the game the 2 different styles, long kicking of the Roos and the short chip pass of the Port Adelaide. When you are manned up and you cannot run anywhere and you've got a shadow wear and it makes it very hard to get possession of the footing. That's exactly what the Roos are doing, putting them under enormous pressure.
Particularly in these conditions, it's not a high possession game today, so it's all about territory with such a blustery breeze and driving rain, really. When that breeze picks up, the rain's almost coming in horizontal at times. Morgan tripped over there by Bishop. And that kick holds up in the breeze. Archer comes crashing through. Franco ground level with Cochrane. Appeared to have hold of his jumper. Umpire will bounce.
Once again, just by that kick, you can sell and say the favoured end with the wind, but definitely down where the Roos are kicking this quarter.
And the rain just getting a little bit heavier now too. So a 10-point lead, a pretty handy one for the Kangaroos. Just under 15 minutes remaining in this second term. Primus gets the tap. King just soccers off the ground again. All about territory. Gains another 20 metres. And they'll load up again at the next contest. Clearance is now 15-8 in favour of the Kangaroos. So they don't mind the stoppages. It's working out well for them at the moment.
It's working out well, and Simpson and Cochrane are still doing a job on Franco and Stevens.
Brent Harvey comes to the bench for a spell. He's had 13 possessions, leads the game. He's replaced by Dylan Smith on for his first run. Primus, beautiful tap down to the front of the contest. Guerra kicks around the wing. Treadray and Archer. Rawlings comes in. Treadray lays body on him. Rawlings still has it underneath him at ground level. Schofield in there as well. Yet another bounce. There's Brent Harvey on the phone.
It's just so much manning up. Rawlings has got Schofield. All the better players in the Port Adelaide side have been blanketed so far this game.
We saw Sydney just restrict Port Adelaide's run last week. Port had their lowest tally of disposal since round 9. Kangaroos have obviously gone to school on that tape today. Montgomery hustled out of it. Stevens handballs to open space, and umpire says deliberate, which is a big call given he was about 25 metres from the boundary line. Port take advantage through Carr towards half forward. Good strong mark in the hands taken by Corns. He's about 70 metres out from goal. Chad Corns. That's what's in front of him. They're just bunching right on 50. Corns chips it over the top. Treadray comes out on the lead. Archer with him as always. At ground level, Smith gets his first disposal. Relatively ineffective. Cochrane tries to keep it in front of him. Martin crashes through the Franco tackle. Kicks towards centre half forward. Morrell comes out on the long lead. Attacks it. Couldn't quite mark. Hardwick comes in and lays the grip on him. We'll have a bounce as we head down to Tiffany Cherry.
The ground and went straight onto the phone. And Stephen nearly took out our cameraman. Just said that conditions are very slippery down here, and of course the rain is getting heavier.
Kangaroos by 10 points. They led by 11 points at quarter time. 2 goals to Digby Morrell, the only player on the ground to have multiple goals. And the Kangaroos at the moment 8-7 for the season in 9th spot. Port Adelaide, of course, on top with 12-3, going for 9 on the trot. The Kangaroos thrown down the gauntlet today at Optus Oval. Rawlings long kick. He was looking for Colbert. Off hands. Taken away by Bishop. Worked his way out of trouble. Finds Guerra. Rockets the ball. It was a casual hand pass. Now the whistle is gone.
Bump was late by Pickett on Guerra.
So the free kick is going to Port, and Primus to Montgomery. Dances on the spot and goes wide, and Corns so good on the lead. Marks in front of Mighty Mick.
That's a tremendous mark of that slippery ball. Great hands.
Corns in front. Playing his Treadray. He leads a long way up the ground. He covers a lot of territory for a centre half forward. Archer showed a lot of courage as well. Stevens, they've got the big guns back in defence. Just tumbles the ball back, but building the wall is Primus. Looks for Schofield, started on the bench. To Carr. It's on centre wing, goes short. Finds James, loves to set it up. Carr from centre wing. Deep inside 50, the big fist away that time comes from Teague, who came off the rookie list and has been a very good player for the Kangaroos. He's very brave, keeps his eyes on the ball. He's got strong eyes. He's the consummate defender. Chance for Port. 35 metres out from goal. Primus, so big and so strong. Can dish it off. Here's a chance. Franco on the charge. Right to the line. Off hands. And through for a minor score.
We just witnessed the real body strength of Matthew Primus there, when he just pushed Burton underneath the ball, took control of it and fed it off to the running Franco. But once in, great defence on that very last line of defence for the Roos.
Harvey goes short. Finds his partner in crime in Archer. Just caught in two minds. The kick was poor. James caught by Teague. It's a ball up 55 metres out from goal.
Corns and Treadray taking 7 marks between them, Russell, but as we saw in Port's last attack, they're having to work very, very hard up the ground. They haven't had one in between them inside the 50.
No, they have to go get the kicks elsewhere because the defensive side of Martin and Archer have just been absolutely second to none this afternoon.
Free kick to the Kangaroos from that scrimmage. For the Bronx cheers of the crowd. Free kick now, count now 9-7 in favour of Port Adelaide. Sinclair from defensive 50. Around the members' wing. Another infringement in the marking contest. Again, it goes to the Kangaroos. This time, Lee Colbert. His sixth possession coming up. Wants to move it quickly. Has Rocker isolated inside 50, but they flood back in numbers now. Rocker still tries to come on the lead. It comes to the back. Stevens put his body on the line. It comes to Wanganeen. To Hardwick. Dribbles it towards the line. David King tries to run it down, but it won't sit up for him. Out of bounds for a throw-in about 40 metres out from the Kangaroos' goal. The last goal they kicked was at the 20-minute mark of the first quarter. It's been a tight, fierce struggle. The Roos haven't scored in this quarter, just 2 behinds to Port Adelaide. A real tough, old-fashioned physical contest, this one. Rocker got the tap down to Pickett. Tried to burst through the Morgan tackle, couldn't do so. Umpire will bounce yet again. Plenty of stoppages, plenty of niggle as well. Clearance is now 17 to 11 in favour of Port Adelaide, in favour of the Kangaroos rather. Port just squaring the ledger a little bit in this second term. Have a bounce just outside the 50. Kingsley, another infringement in the ruck contest. It's going the way of Port Adelaide. It comes to Wanganeen. He bursts through the back edge of the centre square, has a couple of bounces through the middle of the ground. Man over the top is Burgoyne. He hits him right on 50. Burgoyne runs to 40 metres out, sets sail for home and kicks a goal. One of the few times this afternoon Port Adelaide's been able to generate any run off half back.
Well, it all started back with Matthew Primus when the ball was balled up. Spider's just got to try something a little bit different. Primus is just pushing him off each time, feeding the ball off to the running player, and off they go. He's just got to try something a little bit different, Spider. And once again, Matthew Primus solely responsible for that goal, starting it off.
All important first goal of the second term, reduces the margin to 3 points.
Port Power have dragged it back to a 3-point ball game. 4-3-27 the Kangaroos. Port Adelaide 3-6-24. Harvey through the centre square. Digby Morell's the target in front and got him. Leads up in front. He's got a bit of presence about his game, Digby Morell. Colbert was in the square. Got a good pair of hands.
They might have to be thinking shortly, because Morell's actually giving it to Bishop at the moment, and Bishop struggled last week up in Sydney also, so it might be a time to make a move because Morell is dominating.
Kicked 2 goals in the first quarter from 55 metres out. Pushes it right and through for a behind. So 2 goals, 1 to Digby Morell. And of course Corey Jones is the young Kangaroo who's got to come back onto the senior list, and they've got 2 rookie players in Morell and also John Baird. One of them will have to go back onto the rookie list. Chad Corns in the back pocket. Kangaroos by 4 points. Primus is going to be the target. Montgomery, what a pick-up he's been since coming across from the Western Bulldogs to Hardwick. Looking for Treadray, pushed out that time by Archer, pounced on by Cockatoo. Collins, the danger man, wants a bounce. Chance now for Jew. Hasn't really been in the game today. And there's Hardwick and Tiffany Cherry.
Yes, Damien Hardwick just went down then in that contest, and he is coming off. He's certainly hurt his leg.
Well, that's going to be a major blow to Port Adelaide.
Had the player fall across him, KB. We see it so often. Just as he was kicking through the ball there, his Kangaroos opponent ran straight across his leg.
So a boundary throw in, a chance for the Power. Gira goes to ground. Archer desperate, happy to try and force the ball over the line. Jew nearly took control and finally threw for a behind. And there's Damien Hardwick. Let's have a look how this happened. There's Hardwick coming across with Stevens and came right across that leg.
Look, you hate to see anything like that happen. Look, Hardwick's been a sensational player for so. We just hopefully for him, it's just something minor, but it didn't look too good.
Simpson to make peace. So the Kangaroos trying to build up towards centre half forward. The long hands came up that time from Morgan. Pounced on again. Here's a chance for King. He can be an inspirational player for the Kangaroos. This is a great kick and finds Rocker. So David King last week, he inspired the Kangaroos after half-time. He's just got that ability to break away from packs. He's got that extraordinary pace, and Tiffany Cherry is still down on the boundary.
The Port staff and medical staff are assessing Damien's right knee, so it looks like he certainly injured his right knee in that contest.
Rocker will be shooting from 35 metres out. 45-degree angle. Split at 32 goals for the year. Rocker straight through the centre. He's a dead old dick. Well, he's kicked 33 goals for the season. There's a sad sight for Port Adelaide, because Damien Hardwick, Russell, has been such a mighty player this year for him, and very important player, and that's how it happened.
Yeah, look, it reminds me much of the one where Paul Salmon and Jeff Rains ran across him when he went to kick the footy. But look, I mean, look, he is absolute sensational. Has been a great player, yes, and now here. It's very unfortunate.
So an important goal for the Kangaroos, just opens up that 9-point buffer, which in the context of this context will be a pretty handy one. Kingsley taken down by Pickett. Rawlings goes inside 50. It's a one-on-one between Rocker and Wakeland. Rocker works him under the ball. Won't sit for him now, though. Wakeland loses his feet. Rocker just swats away Morgan. Good tackle from the youngster. Handball was looking for Pickett. He takes Darryl Wakeland out. Right in the solar plexus, straight up the middle. And ouch.
I tell you what, he can hurt a few people, Byron Pickett. He's just got that ability, hasn't he, to just get maximum power and leverage when he actually bumps an opponent, and there it is, crunch.
Right up under the ribs.
Can really set himself, elbow tucked right in, absolutely fair.
Yeah, a great deal of momentum either, just shows how tough he is. At ground level, Cochrane tries to get the run of it. Wanganeen puts his body on the line for Port Adelaide. Have a bounce just inside the 50 for the Kangaroos.
He has struggled for form, though. Just the one possession today. That's a handball.
Kevin, but he has been running and look, I know that it doesn't say it on the stat sheet, but he is prepared. He has been running and chasing, and just hopefully that things will turn his way. If you do persist in that area, you're going to give yourself every chance. But he is sadly out of form at the moment.
The doctors continuing to assess Damien Hardwick there, just checking his good knee against his bad one. Ball heads out towards the boundary line and taken over by Warren Treadrate. 5 possessions, 3 marks for Treadrate today. He's taken the ball inside 50 on 3 occasions, which suggests, as we mentioned, Russell is getting the ball up the ground, and then they need 2 of him. They need 1 of him to get it, and then 1 of him to be on the end of it inside 50.
You want him inside 50 to take the marks.
Primus gets rid of Petrie, but couldn't get his kick away. Stevens' kick smothered, went straight up in the air. Rawlings and Harvey there for the Kangaroos. Harvey's kick also smothered, and out of bounds for another throw in, and Harvey there, just flexing that left shoulder, the AC joint. A little bit of a dead arm there in that contest, and that was the bump from Guerra. So it's tight, tough and physical here at Optus Oval. The margin 9 points. Damien Hardwick up and about. It's a good sign for Port Adelaide. Wanganeen evaded 1 tackle but couldn't get away from Simpson. Ball inside 50 now. Morrell against Bishop. Morrell will get there first. From the pocket, Digby Morrell screws it back just across the face. It was a wonderful effort. And he really has been the spark up forward this afternoon for the Kangaroos. Digby Morrell, 2 goals, 2. Brent Harvey in the middle of the ground. In the hands of the trainers now, just flexing his shoulder. As we head down to Tiffany Cherry.
Yeah, the Kangaroo doctor just going out there and assessing him. Then his left shoulder, he hurt, he fell to the ground. But Damien Hardwick's knee looks to be okay. He was indicating that he got a knock on the inside, but he's up and running, as he said.
Stevens outside the 50. Wakeland to the run of Kingsley. Kingsley goes around the wing and finds Chad Corns.
He's on the half-back flank. Treadrate has been the target up forward. He's got him in his sights. He's got to make ground in front. Just couldn't quite hang on to it, and finally forced over the line by Dylan Smith. Archer and Treadrate. That's a big duel. An important one in the context of this game. Centre wing, boundary throw-in. Primus and Petrie, just a young man still making his way in the game for the Kangaroos. Going to ground is Sinclair, just starting to find maybe a bit of consistency in his game. Morgan was held off the ball that time by Colbert. Again, Corns across half back. Looking for Bishop. Came from Polton, who was a hero last week, as Bishop stands and delivers. Inside 50, Sinclair dumps the ball away. Not quite getting the bounce he wanted was Stevens. Good hands that time by Robbins. Kicks to space. Polton got the bounce he wanted. His confidence would be high. Not often you kick the winning goal after the siren. Montgomery gives it across and Primus kicks a goal. So straight away, Polton's had an effect on the game. Started on the bench. An unselfish play that time by Montgomery. And the skipper has put it through for his first goal.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's not much in the game at the moment. But the Roos is working exceptionally hard, and but Port Adelaide, the top side they're just persisting, and top sides just only know one way, and that's to really work as hard as you possibly can. If you work hard enough, things will come your way.
What a contest developing here at Optus Oval. It's not high scoring, it's not free flowing, but it is good, tough, old-fashioned football. The margin 4 points. Just under 5 minutes remaining in this second term. Corns wrapped up in a tackle by Petrie, and Stevens will have another bounce. Port Adelaide just having to grind their way back into this contest, Russell, because the Kangaroos have, well, and the conditions, have seen it develop as a scrap from the opening bounce.
Oh, it has exactly been that, a scrap and a real arm wrestle.
Petrie goes up, wins the tap. Burgoyne wrapped up, somehow got his hands free and flipped it to Primus. Just pushed off a couple of tackles. Handball back to Carr. Pickett, he runs him down from behind, holding the ball.
That'd be great for his confidence, Byron Pickett.
41 tackles to the Kangaroos to 14 for Port Adelaide. They have been tireless this afternoon. Inside 50, Colbert 2 to beat. Wakeland a well-timed fist. Down to Clayton. He bends it around his body and bounces it through for a goal. Shane Clayton gets the reply for the Kangaroos, and again they restore that handy 10-point margin as Nick Stevens comes to the bench to be replaced by Franco. And North will take the opportunity to give Cochrane a spell. Lee Harding comes on.
It all started by that man chasing Pickett. Great tackle, as we saw here. His kick was long and effective. And as we had the balls punched, if you're front and centre like Kevin Bartlett used to be 5 million times in his career, that's where you've got to be. And you can every opportunity to be able to kick a goal.
16 goals for the season to Clayton. He can be a handy player, and he often kicks goals like that, just tumbling through over the line. He's quite a clever player. Primus got big Petrie to compete with now. James is all tied up, still inside the centre square. Just under 4 minutes left in this second quarter. The Kangaroos are 6-5-41, Port Adelaide 4-7-31. 10-point ball game, and a scratch of the head there by James. 12 out of the last 13 have been won by Port Adelaide, going for 9 straight. As we see Archer coming off for the blood rule, and Mighty Mick trots back to pick up Treadray. They're good like that, the Kangaroos, aren't they? A major player goes off like Archer, and straight away Mick Martin goes down, picks up the gun forward. Teague then calling for other players to come along.
It's understanding, Kevin, and they've played with each other for so long, they would be like clockwork. They would know exactly what needs to be done.
Just marshalling the troops. James wobbles the ball back inside 50. Carr nearly took a strong mark. Josh Carr being picked up by Jess Sinclair. Primus, Sinclair couldn't stop the Carr this time. James tried to cross his way out of trouble. Primus, big and strong, keeps his body in line. Tried to ward off that time was Simpson. They'll pile on top. Teague's there as well. So is Dylan Smith. And let's go down to Tiffany Terry.
Damien Hardwick just indicated then to the Port medical staff that he was fine to come back on, so you'll probably expect to see him to come back on.
Well, that's super news. Primus so big and strong, just pushing off his opponents. Here's a general, and just a nod of the head. We saw then as Archer tucks in the jumper, ready for action. Primus, this time beaten by Petrie. The young man just kicks out towards centre wing. Burgoyne to Polton. Got the kind bounce he wanted. Has to get past Pickett. Not easy. Pickett goes to the ground. Polton close to the boundary line. Finally takes it over. And we've got a toss back in.
Tempo's just lifted in the last couple of minutes, hasn't it, KB? Noticeable. A couple of goals. The game's just opened up just a touch.
Well, Archer's back onto the field. It's been a tough game because the conditions have been very hard. We've had rain this morning. It's been very windy. Optus Oval has been pretty greasy. And of course, you've got Kangaroos, one of the toughest sides in the business.
Primus down to Burgoyne towards the 50. Corns and Colbert flew. Crashing in there was Dylan Smith and Anthony Stevens. The Roos win the football from the contest. Back towards the wing. Kingsley and Robbins. Ball goes to the line for a throw-in.
Geez, that was great play by Lee Colbert. Then he flew with the flight of the ball and knew he was going to get belted. Ball hit the ground. He got the ball out. I mean, he's just so switched on. That's a tremendous play.
It's been the sort of game to test his shoulder. There's no way to hide out there this afternoon. It's been congestion all over the ground. Primus again out of the ruck contest on his own. Franco got one hand to it. Never really a chance to mark it. Sinclair back towards the wing. Over the head of Guerra. Tracks it back. And Petrie takes it to the line for yet another throw-in. So 2 minutes remaining in the opening half. It's the Kangaroos by 10 points. They led by 11 points at quarter time. Throw in. Primus created some space. Guerra ran onto it and slapped it forward. Corn slides in. Handball missed its target. Socket off the ground by Martin. Only as far as Wanganeen. Opportunity for Port Adelaide now inside 50. Treadray in front. Archer spoils from behind. Down to Rawlings. Long kick towards centre half forward. A big pack of players here. Who's lurking at ground level? It's all Kangaroos. Pickett to King. Sells one dummy. Explodes away from Chad Corns. Goes again. Runs to 35 metres. David King. And misses to the right-hand side. Again at ground level. There were 3 Kangaroos down there in the forward line, Russell. Not one Port Adelaide player at the front of the pack.
Very good at ground level, particularly the hot spot if the ball comes forward and you're there to be a recipient of the footy. But I tell you what, it's a real slog out here this afternoon. Both sides throwing themselves at it.
Bright sunshine now. The margin 11 points to the Kangaroos. Morgan flies over the top, wins the ball at ground level. Kick around his body towards the wing. Wide open space. Petrie tracking back for the Kangaroos. Shepherd laid there by Simpson, but ran straight into Simpson's opponent, Franco. And a ball up on the wing. It's at boundary side. Here's Tiffany Cherry.
The Kangaroo coaching staff then just yelling out that Primus was free in the goal square and desperately trying to get someone down on him.
So there is Matthew Primus. Laid the man down in the goal square for Port Adelaide now. Mick Martin goes back and mans him up. Out of the congestion, here's a chance for the Kangaroos to win it forward. Beats Colbert the bounce. To the back, Wanganeen against Pickett. Pickett taps it out. Colbert to King. King to Robbins. Robbins a high kick inside the 50. Clayton against Kingsley. At ground level, here's Chad Corns working in the defensive 50. Puts it out in front of Carr to run onto, and he's happy enough to see it to the boundary line. 28 seconds remaining on the clock. In the second term, the margin is 11 points in favour of the Kangaroos. They've added 2 goals to Port Adelaide's 2 in this term.
It's just interesting. Have a look at young Jew, who has not yet touched the ball, and Teague's been very productive for the Roos.
And as we mentioned before the game, you've got to be on him for 4 quarters, don't you? Jew could bob up with 3 or 4 possessions and kick a couple of goals. He's such a dangerous player. Sinclair gets it forward, keeps it alive. The hands from Clayton and the sharp to Simpson. Guerra put the pressure on. Here's Pickett at ground level to Sinclair. High kick towards the goal square. 2-on-1 for the Kangaroos. Wakeland, Stevens at ground level, tries to keep it alive. He does so. Miracle goal! Miracle goal from Anthony Stevens. Right on half-time, on the boundary line. Kept the ball in play somehow. No space at all to work in. Throws it on the wrong side of his boot and bends it back for one of the goals of the year.
Just have a look at the body language now of the Roos. They're all around their captain, Captain Courageous, call him whatever you want. He is an absolute super player, and that goal right on the death knot to the quarter was absolutely unbelievable.
Anthony Stevens, right on half-time, has kicked an amazing goal and opened up a very handy 17-point lead to the Kangaroos at the major break. 7-6-48, Port Adelaide 4-7-31. 17 points the margin, courtesy of a Anthony Stevens goal right on the siren at half-time. And the challenge is being laid down to Port Adelaide to fight back here.
Well, here's an opportunity for young Dylan Smith now. He's in the centre. He's a fine young player. Hasn't had much opportunity, but here's his opportunity now.
So we start the second half at Optus Oval. Primus gets the first tap out. King wrapped up in a tackle by Hardwick. Sinclair, with Josh Carr sitting on top of him, will have another bounce. Port Adelaide on their longest winning streak in club history. They've won 8 games straight by an average of 49 points. They're going to have to come from behind this afternoon as Brent Harvey watches on. It certainly improves their chances. Primus again tries to get it forward, only as far as David King. Comes up for possession number 8. Towards the wing. Bit of holding off the ball. Free kick going the way of Port Adelaide. Lee Colbert's kicked it. Will it be 50? Umpire says yes, it will. So there's a bit of scragging before the ball reached that contest, Russell. Umpire spotted it. Went a free kick to Matthew Bishop, but Lee Colbert played on.
Yeah, I mean, it's here he is. He's been scragged, brought to ground, but in fairness to Colbert had his back to that particular play, and I'm sure he didn't realise what was going on.
More injury problems. Tiffany Cherry as Gavin Wanganeen limps off.
Yes, it looks like Gavin Wanganeen injured his ankle then. I'll be able to tell you in just a few moments, but he's certainly coming off.
So here's Matthew Bishop. From 55 metres out. Kick on its way. It's a thumping kick. It'll go right towards the line. In fact, it clears the line. Goal to Matthew Bishop and a great start to Port Adelaide. So Matthew Bishop gets just his 2nd goal for the season, only the 6th of his career. And they've whittled that margin back down to 11 points in what, Russell, looks like it's going to be more of a dry weather game in the second half if this weather holds.
Well, from where we're sitting, it looks as though the weather will hold up, but that was just unfortunate that Morrell took Bishop out of the play, and Colbert, I'm sure, had no idea that the Bishop had been infringed with.
Kangaroos by 11 points. It was a bad mistake by Lee Colbert, I think, Russell. I think when you play the game, you see the umpire point in the right direction, who's got a free kick or a mark. I think it was silly play. Burton couldn't quite get his hands on the ball. Primus had a fantastic second term. Bit slow to begin as Morgan comes away from half-back, kicks the space. Hardwick is back on the ground. That's great news. King, well, he was inspirational in the 3rd term last week against Fremantle for the Kangaroos. Can he do it again? Pickett. Can he lift his rating? He's really been sadly out of touch. Rocker was the target. Got his hands on the ball. Couldn't take it on the second grab. Going to ground was Stevens. Kicked a great goal right on the half-time siren as we see the ball tumbled over for a toss back in. Teague's done a mighty job. Number 40 there for the Kangaroos, playing on Stewie Jew. Didn't have a possession in that first half.
But we know he only needs 3 or 4 kicks, Kevin. He can really turn the tide, but hopefully young T can maintain his presence on him.
Well, Jew's kicked 33 goals for the season, and Teague is a young boy. It's come off the rookie list. It's been a mighty job this afternoon. Simpson continues to win the ball, tumbles the ball back. Some danger here for Port Adelaide. Reading it well as Montgomery on the charge. Likes to back himself in, so does Hardwick. The run comes. A wave of Port Adelaide players through the centre square to the half-forward line. Corns is the target. Make that Schofield. He's got it. He's just outside 50. Corns is in the square. He wants a high ball. He'll go short. Hardwick sets it up well and finds James. So the sun is now shining at Optus Oval. And this could be good signs for Port Adelaide.
One of the few times we've seen them stream forward in any sort of space and time today, Russell.
That's right. This is probably about the first time we have seen that happen. But just getting back to Hardwick, he's such an important player. I mean, he can close blokes down, and he has one real strong asset. He does run the lines and set up play, as we just saw then.
And James kicks a goal. They are now within 5 points.
They've just got to make sure that they get the next one out of the centre of the Roos, because they can't let this trend continue. Port Adelaide have kicked 2 goals in the first few minutes, so it's so important that the Roos boys just get first hand on the footy and try and get inside 50 in their offensive zone.
10 possessions to 4 in this 3rd term. 2 goals to Port Adelaide. As we mentioned at half-time, they are a side that can score quickly. And they've come out and slammed 2 quick goals on and got it back to within 5 points. Port Adelaide look to push forward again. Guerra wrapped up in a tackle by Robbins. Will have a bounce. It's almost like the game starting all over again, Russell. It's a different style of football we've seen in the opening 5 minutes than we saw in the whole first half.
Yeah, well, maybe the conditions assist that also, but both sides are still ripping right into it.
Teague comes through the congestion, stabs it inside 50. Numbers back there for Port Adelaide. Montgomery been important already in this third term. Hands off to Morgan. Morgan's 7th possession out wide to Primus, and again they're starting to create some space, Port Adelaide. Just opening this game up. We said at the start of the telecast, the Kangaroos go long and direct. Port Adelaide prefer to run the ball, chip it around, stream forward in numbers. This time Pickett intercepts for the Kangaroos, gets it to Burton. Burton will go inside 50 and find Clayton. The importance of a turnover there. All the Port Adelaide players had streamed forward and was suddenly caught out of position. Shane Clayton from 52 metres out. Kick goes right towards the goal line. And it's fisted through for a rush behind to the Kangaroos. As we head boundary side, here's Tiffany Cherry.
The Port medical staff are just strapping up Gavin Wanganeen's ankle, so it was his ankle that he twisted as he came off, but he should be able to come back on.
Just Stuart Dew with the kicking in duties. Had just one possession in general play. It was a handball earlier in this quarter. North Melbourne set up a deep zone. They know the power of Stuart Dew's kicking. He just stab passes it to 50 and finds Guerra. High, long kick. Morrell goes back with a fly to the ball. Interference off the contest. It's going the way of Port Adelaide. It's coming back to Josh Carr. His 10th touch coming up. He's just held out of it. Carr thumps it high inside the 50. Stevens had the sun in his eyes, dropped the mark, gave a handball to Treadray. He can straighten up from 48 metres out, kick it to the top of the square. Cockatoo Collins there, had the sit-on Makepeace and takes the mark. And has the opportunity with 7 minutes gone in the third term to level the scores.
Look, he had the perfect sit there. Treadray got the ball, kicked it long and direct, and unfortunately for Makepeace, he was underneath the ball, couldn't do anything about it. And Cockatoo Collins
kicks a goal, scores level at Optus Oval. So 3 quick goals to Port Adelaide and scores a level at 7-7 apiece. We've played 7.5 minutes in the third term.
It's amazing, 7.5 minutes. The momentum has swung back towards Port Adelaide. But the thing that Port Adelaide have done in the first 7.5 minutes, they have really backed themselves. They've taken the chance, they've run the lines, and so far they've kicked 3 goals. The Roos really have to tighten up once again, do exactly what they did in the first half, play man-to-man, really tight footy, particularly when they haven't got the footy.
Two goals to Shea Cockatoo Collins, the only multiple goal kicker for Port Adelaide, and scores a level. Kangaroos in the first half. They threw down the gauntlet. It's been picked up by Port Adelaide. Robbins tries to work his way out of trouble. Wild handball. Guerra thumps the ball back. Robbins take 2. Does well, feeds off the ball. King on the charge. Again, can he lift the Kangaroos through the centre square to mighty Mick Martin? 2 old heads combined. Bangs the ball inside 50. They need a grab. Colbert was the high flyer. Pounced on this time by Smith. Great tackle by Polton. Ties him up. And it's a ball up just 35 metres out from the Kangaroos' goal.
It's interesting that they centre bounces too now. Hardwick's in there doing a lot of the hard work, hard, dirty work, which he loves doing.
Polton, the hero of last week, kicking that goal after the siren. Mighty Mick doing the ruck work. Strong work by Carr.
At this particular stage, there's only 2 blokes in the defensive side for Port Adelaide. Cockatoo Collins and Makepeace. Everyone else is this side of 50 of the centre square.
Stevens tried to pinch it. Grapples on the ground. Virtually tunnel balled it out. And again, a big pack of players. And a free kick. Goes to Hardwick. Well, we saw him go off in that second term with what appeared to be a serious knee injury, but he's A-OK. Finds Polton on the half-back flank. They run to space. Schofield makes good ground. Started on the bench. Scrappy kick. Dew, that's his first kick for the afternoon, and backing back is Archer. Now, we saw last week when the going got tough, it was Archer, it was King, it was Harvey, unfortunately still on the boundary line, and Sinclair, who really did lift the Kangaroos. Can they do it again today? Burton, arrived late at the contest, gives away the free kick. We'll go to Kingsley. Enjoying a great season with Port Adelaide. Treadray just shielding the eyes from the sun. Getting back was Robbins, got a hand to the ball. Smith shoveled the ball out. They'll pile on top. Franco wants a free kick, and he's got it.
But the Roos are going to have to try something a little bit different soon. Last week when they were under the pump again up in Canberra, they introduced Pagan's paddock, and we'll wonder whether Pagan will try that in the next 5 or so minutes.
Now this is for too high here on James. Franco was looking for a free kick for holding the ball, but James got the free kick for being caught high. He's kicked a goal in this third term. This to put Port Adelaide in front. He's hammered it home. So that man has kicked 2 goals, Russell, and they're a goal in front.
Well, they've certainly lifted their rating, Kevin, and look. Shackles were put on them in the first half, and it looks as though they've broken them so far into this third quarter. They just look as though they're a little bit more desperate, harder at the ball, harder at the man with the footy, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens because the Roos are under the pump for the first time in this game.
So Gavin Wanganeen walks the boundary line. It's Port Adelaide take the lead. They lead by a goal. 24 possessions to 14 in this third term. Both sides have gone inside 50 on 4 occasions, but Port just playing a more direct style in this third quarter. Getting forward of the ball and streaming in, giving their forwards a good chance. Burton goes inside 50. And coming out to take the mark on his chest with Saverio Rocca. Not a lot of opportunities for Sav this afternoon. Just his 4th possession coming up. He's kicked 1 goal, 1. He's going to go back and load up here from outside 50. He's inside the centre square, as you can see. He'll kick this from about 55 out. Thumps it. And thumps it through. Rocca gets his second. Didn't look that great off the boot. But such is the power of Saverio Rocca. It still carried the 55, 60-metre journey. And the Roos fight back, scores level again here at Optus Oval.
Well, that was a mammoth kick in the context into that pretty strong breeze. That was a mammoth kick, as you mentioned, didn't come off the boot as well as what it looked. But 6 very valuable points, and they've stemmed the tide, so that's the most important thing to do. Adelaide have come out, Port Adelaide have come out, all guns firing, and it's a great effort to stem one against the tide, and they're right back in this ball game.
2 goals to Rocca, 34 goals for the season, 8-7 apiece, 55 points. Stevens, a strong tackle on Burgoyne. A ball up. Tiffany Cherry's on the boundary line.
Gavin Wanganeen just having his left ankle assessed and hopping up and down on the ankle to make sure that it was steady enough, and looks like he actually strained the outside of his ankle, so he's just going for another run to see whether he can come back on.
Burton, Beach Primus. Smith has the ball half smothered off the boot. Going in hard that time was Guerra. Stakes are high. Kangaroos are looking for a spot in the top 8. They're in 9th spot, 8 and 7. Going for 9 straight, Port Adelaide. They've won 12 of the last 13. And Stevens from half back to centre half forward. Digby Morale in front. Screaming for the ball in the square. Kangaroos, Rocca! Couldn't take it. Coming hard at him was Wakeland. Chance for Clayton. Backtracks, concedes ground. Rockets the ball back to Digby Morale. Traps it outside 50. Needs support. Spider Burton from 50. Unloads. Into the pocket. Sinclair couldn't take it. Pounced on it again. Sinclair. Quick snap. Quick snap. He's missed. Kangaroos in front by a point.
What a game we've got now. Port Adelaide have upped the ante, and the Roos are going with them. They lead now by a point. We've gone 14 and a half minutes in the third term. There's Josh Carr on the phone. Thumping kick in from Stuart Dew. Outside the defensive 50, Montgomery. Here's a chance for Port Adelaide to build. From the kick in, it's Stevens. Back to Burgoyne, he runs away from Morel. Runs to 60 metres out. Puts it into the path of Treadray to run onto. How's the bounce? He gathers 35 out. Screws it back across his body and misses. Had Cockatoo Collins over the top. Could have run into an open goal. Treadray went himself and missed.
Well, I mean, you live by the sword, die by the sword. I mean, look, he backed himself. He went through for a goal. If he did go through for a goal, it would have been great. But you've got to play the percentages, particularly in these tight games, and I would have gone over the top to Cockatoo Collins.
Scores level yet again. Makepeace plays onto himself. Martin provides the screen on Cockatoo Collins. Makepeace goes straight up the middle. Burton's his target, but it's all Port Adelaide at ground level. Here's Michael Stevens. Handball sweeps it wide to the run of Kingsley. Kingsley will go inside 50 looking for Cockatoo. Collins just evades his diving lunge. And the ball goes out of bounds for a throw-in.
And that's amazing, really, to kick the ball so deep into the pocket then, and you had Treadray in the 10-yard square. I mean, the option would have been far better to go through the corridor to Treadray. He might have marked it, but at least there would have been an opportunity.
Primus tries to work Burton under the ball. Burton gets a secondary tap, but only as far as Burgoyne. Just chips it over the top inside 50 for James. Clever kick from Peter Burgoyne. James had superior position to Ben Robbins. All he had to do is stand underneath it and keep his eye on it. He would have got the mark and or free kick. So James already kicked 2 goals in this quarter. Coming up for his 7th possession. And a chance for the Kangaroos, or rather Port Adelaide, to go back in front. Roger James, tight angle. 40 metres out from goal. Kick on its way. Port Adelaide cheer squad like it. Roger James likes it. Most importantly, the goal umpire likes it, a goal. Roger James gets his 3rd. And Port Adelaide back in front here at Optus Oval.
Well, as mentioned before, Jace, it's a real arm wrestle. The Roos have just got to maintain their presence over the ball. They've just got to make sure that they don't let Port Adelaide get out to a 2 or 3 goal lead, because they'll bottle it up in the last quarter and make life very difficult for them. They've just got to be attacking like they have been so far in the course of the game.
And that man on screen has booted 3 goals in this 3rd term. He's the unlikely hero for Port Adelaide. 88-56 the Kangaroos. They trail by 6 points, 9-8-62 the Power. Sinclair. And the free kick is going to the Kangaroos. It comes back to Simpson. Stands and delivers to centre half forward. Digby Morrell will be the target. Burton. Big spider. Up and away. Now there's an altercation also in the goal square between Montgomery and Baird, and Montgomery just to glare back at the umpire, and this again to level the scores in this 3rd quarter. Just under 9 minutes left in this 3rd term. Spider Burton from 45 metres out unloads and kicks a goal. Now a bit of discussion there. Montgomery's looking at his eyes, talking to the umpire, but more importantly for the Kangaroos, scores a level, 62 apiece.
It was a great, actually, body positioning by Spider then. The ball didn't carry from Simpson, and he knew that if he was in the front position, every opportunity, because the ball is kicking into the wind, Simo was kicking into the wind, and the ball was going to drop short, and Spider, so important to play in front, and he finished his good work off with a team lifting goal.
Well, he's been a handy goal kicker this year, and we can see there some blows. Montgomery and Baird. He's kicked 11 goals this year, Spider Burton.
So scores level again here at Optus Oval. We've gone 19 minutes. There's 8.5 remaining in the term. Primus tries to get it out himself and does again. Emerges from the congestion, kicks towards half forward, puts it out in front of Treadray, and he marks 60 metres out from goal. 8 touch for Warren Treadray, inside 50. Stevens, Corns comes on a lead.
He does that well, Russell. He's got that ability to just float into the ball.
Kevin, he's one of the hardest working key positional forwards going around. He just never stops. We mentioned in the first half how we got a lot of kicks up the ground, but he just keeps working hard. And it was a beautiful kick by Treadray, and as you mentioned, just ran onto the ball.
Corns to put Port Adelaide back in front. Ugly looking kick. He does put them in front, but only by the barest possible margin as Matthew Primus comes off, replaced by Brendan Lade. So behind there to Corns, his first score for the day. The kick in from Makepeace. Went looking for Rawlings. It was an awkward one. Putting his body in again was Corns. He gets the ball to the line for a throw-in. There's been plenty of feeling in this contest all day, and certainly a different style of game in this 3rd quarter. We had 11 goals kicked in the first half. And already this quarter, Port Adelaide have kicked 5 and the Kangaroos 2. Burgoyne Roved it off the ruck contest, was going nowhere. Umpire said holding the ball. Didn't do enough to try and get rid of it. No complaints from Peter Burgoyne. A free kick with Lee Harding. Kicks around the wing. Colbert up in front. At ground level, it's T. Couldn't get an effective handball. Socket off the ground by Simpson. Pickett versus Hardwick. The ball goes over the line and out of bounds, which is where we head now. Here's Tiffany Cherry.
Gavin Wanganeen looks like he is jogging now to the Port Adelaide room, so not good news for Gavin Wanganeen.
So that ankle just not responding. We have a throw in. Brent Harvey also off for the Kangaroos with a shoulder problem. It's Port by 1 point. Both these sides had thrillers last week. Stevens to Stevens. Nick to Michael. Dumps it towards Archer, almost a spectacular mark. At ground level, the ball still alive for the Kangaroos. Sinclair will be run down by Polton. Cops it up, comes to Treadray from 45 metres out. He pushes it wide and through for one behind.
And the reason why he turned back into play then is because when he looked up the ground, he had nowhere to kick, so obviously he tried to look for some support from behind, but unfortunately there was none there, none offering.
And Glenn Archer, almost a spectacular mark, just couldn't quite complete it. It's Port Adelaide by 2 points. We're into time on in this third term. It'll be David King to bring the ball back into play for the Kangaroos.
That would have been some mark by Glenn Archer. King kicks the ball high and wide. Looking for Spider, clever tap on. Makepeace needs a kind bounce, needs support. Simpson, just the 7 possessions, but his opponent, Franco, has just had 2. What an enthralling contest that one is. 2 of the biggest ball winners in the game, and they've hardly touched it.
Franco averaging 21 a game. Simpson 26 a game in 2002, KB.
Morgan just dancing on the spot, ready to get back into the action. The young boy from the Glen Waverley Panthers in Victoria over the Oakley under-18s. Simpson came crashing in, pinched that time by Sinclair. Tumbles the ball back, being marked by Clayton. Port Adelaide by 2 points, 9-10-64. The Kangaroos 9-8-62. Clayton, it's been a handy player today. Kicks the ball back towards the half-forward line. Montgomery, strong overhead for his size. Stevens, tied up by Robbins. Montgomery, just shove it out the handball, looking for Carr. Puts it over on the full. A lot of pressure from the Kangaroos. Stevens has led from the front today. Simpson couldn't control it. Robbins goes in very hard. Digby Morrell driven into the ground. He'll take the free kick.
We've got Treadray off the ground now, and young Morgan, he's really going to have to earn his stripes playing back on that hard man, Glenn Archer.
On the phone, on the blower. Someone's unhappy. Digby Morrell has kicked 2 goals. Both goals coming in the first quarter. And the 2 big guns, Primus and Treadray, on the bench. Eight possessions to Digby Morrell. Plenty of goal space. Reverse angle, Morrell. We can follow this kick. It starts to bend back. Right to the line. He's got 3. And the Kangaroos have hit the front.
What a game.
What a game and what a kick. That was an unbelievable. Perfectly kicked it out to the left, and with the wind at his assistance, brought it back right through the goals. Magnificent kick. Tell you what, he does work hard. It was only his 8th or 9th possession, but his tackles, his running, his chasing, his shepherding, keeping the ball inside 50 is exactly what coaches absolutely love.
So Digby Morrell gets his 3rd goal. It's 5 goals to 3 in favour of Port Adelaide in this third term, but it's the Kangaroos back in front by 4 points. 5 3/4 minutes remaining in the term. Burton put it down to the path of Simpson. Emerging with it was Harding. He'll thump it long towards the goal square. Numbers back there with Port Adelaide. Montgomery, was he interfered with? Yes, he was. And Brett Montgomery takes the free kick in the defensive goal square. Hands off quickly to Bishop. Bishop's got a man in space. It's Josh Carr, and he marks it offensive 65. Carr honours the lead offered by Chad Corns. Did all the hard work to get there and then dropped it. Keeps it in momentarily. Now it's out. Throw in. Smack bang on centre wing.
At this stage, we've got Stevens playing loose in defence for the Roos, and Josh Carr maybe playing loose in defence for Port Adelaide.
There's the tackles, and Kangaroos have been really hard at the ball today, and the opponent 52-25.
To the back of the contest. Players piling on top of it. Will have another bounce.
It's a good stat because coming to this game, the Kangaroos had to be hard at the ball, had to be hard at the man, because we know Port Adelaide, if they're given some space, they can play such accelerating football.
They've also laid 16 Shepherds to 8. Blade, beautiful tap down into the path of Burgoyne. Releases him, he runs through the front edge of the centre square. Great tackle coming from Ben Robbins at the back, just putting off his kick. Makepeace at the front. Got numbers in support. It's Anthony Stevens. He can kick it wide towards Archer. Archer has got Clayton on if he can gather on centre wing. He does. Chips it over the top to Clayton. He gathers. Montgomery comes in to shut him down, as does Dew. Goes back to Archer. Back to Clayton now as they work it round the outer side. High kick towards half forward, a big pack of players. At ground level it comes to Teague. Handball to Pickett. Pickett runs to 40 metres out. Sets sail for home. Ball. Pickett kicks a goal. An exciting third term of football from both sides, and the Kangaroos have restored a 10-point lead. Byron Pickett with his first for the afternoon.
Well, they're just counter-punching here. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Port Adelaide came out and kicked the first 3, and since then it's just been goal to goal. This is enthralling stuff. It's great that Pickett kicked that goal because he has worked exceptionally hard, doing a lot of the hard things, and hopefully he can get on the end of a few more.
Byron Pickett on screen, the Kangaroos by 10 points, but that goal came from the hard work of Ben Robbins. That great chase on Burgoyne, which stopped him from really delivering the ball inside 50, and it resulted on the rebound to a goal to the Kangaroos. Can they answer on the charge? Port Adelaide won't go away. Baird the tackler, pulled high. He's been pinned. Just under 4 minutes left in this third quarter. King on the half-back flank. Kangaroos answering the challenge. And the best team in the competition, Robbins. On centre wing, between half-back and centre wing. Goes short. Finds Stevens. Been fantastic today. And Rocker has got it. He's a good 60 metres out. This would take a huge kick. And Rocker winds up, unloads, leaves nothing behind, right to the goal square. Baird, quick snap. Missed.
So John Baird's first score for the afternoon as Mick Martin receives some treatment on his hamstrings. Adam Morgan to the bench, replaced by Treadray. The margin 11 points in favour of the Kangaroos. Port Adelaide came out firing in this third term. They were 17 points down at the major break. They came out firing. The Kangaroos have now answered and gone with them. Treadray straight back into the action, takes a strong mark at defensive 55. Wants to move it quickly because he spotted Lade in space. And he marks on centre wing. Port Adelaide stream forward in numbers. Nick Stevens. If he can get it, he can run away from Spider Burton. He does. He runs to 40. He runs to 35. Stevens, 20 metres out from goal, pops it through. So the counter-punching continues. Port Adelaide sweep it from one end of the ground at the other. Nick Stevens gets his first goal. And the margin back to 5 points and an absolute cracker at Optus Oval.
Typical Nick Stevens play. Start from the half-back flank and just ran and ran and ran and ran. I'm not quite sure where Cochrane was. Maybe he was put out of the play, couldn't get back to him. But Stevens just ran and ran and ran. And that is the quality that makes him such a good player, that he refuses just to, not to stop, but just to keep running and running.
And Primus is back on the ground as well. So is Treadray. And Port Adelaide drag it back to a 5-point ball game. Primus, big and strong. Franco, no influence on the game today. In fact, it's quite amazing to see just the 3 possessions, 1 kick and 2 handballs. And Simpson has been a star for the Kangaroos this year, 6-1. Kangaroos still 7 up on centre breaks. Rawlings works hard in close. Ugly bounce. Tucked on by Carr, pinched by Simpson. Pulled off the ball. Kingsley. Pickett is desperate. Diving lunge, couldn't take it. Stakes are high. King needs support, backs himself in. He's inspired David King from centre wing. Penetrating kick, chance for the Kangaroos. Corns make that Polton to Hardwick. They'll share the ball around to Stevens. Plenty of run now from Port Adelaide. Primus can set it up across half back. Polton runs through the centre square to centre half forward. Stevens has to turn around, can't get there. Cockatoo Collins, sun was in the eyes. Stevens across half back. Desperate play by the Kangaroos. Sinclair pinpoints it, finds Clayton. Robbins wants it short. Kangaroos by just 5 points. They led by 17 points at half-time. Sinclair, as the time clock ticks away in this third term. It's been a counter-punching third term. Stevens, they've gone backwards. They've actually lost about 40 metres. Sinclair. Some space opens up for Rawlings. And it's back to where it all started, with Clayton.
They know there's only less than a minute on the clock, Russell. They don't want to turn it over in their defensive 50.
No, look, if they do turn it over, they'll pounce and the goal will result.
Clayton's going to be forced to kick long now to a contest. He does just that, heads towards the boundary line. Petrie came over the top. Port Adelaide keep it alive through Bishop. Kick partly smothered. Sits up for Teague. Gets through the Schofield tackle. Gets through the Cockatoo Collins tackle. Well played. Free kick coming back to Teague.
But getting back to that situation where they were using the footy around, I know for a fact that the runner does go out and just say to look, there's maybe only a minute, and they would be aware of that. They would know that they would have not a lot of time to play with, so that's why they probably instigated such a thing as that.
Absolutely, they ran into rundown mode straight away, didn't they? Teague goes long towards half forward. Petrie to come over the top, couldn't quite bring it down at ground level. There's Franco. Little handball towards Primus. Gets it out to Bishop now. One last chance for Port Adelaide. Only 5 seconds left on the clock. They need a mark. It's not going to get there. Cockatoo Collins will gather just inside the boundary line, but time will beat Port Adelaide in what was a very, very exciting third term. The game opened right up. It was a tough physical scrap in the first half. But in that third term, 6 goals to Port Adelaide, 4 goals to the Kangaroos. It all adds up to a 4-point lead at three-quarter time to the Kangaroos. Contest.
Interesting, Mickey Martin's off the ground and Lee Colbert is pushed back onto Corns.
So final term action, it's the Kangaroos by 5 points at Optus Oval. Burton and Primus in the middle of the ground. Carr tries to emerge backwards. It's taken by Burton. Hurried kick, not 15. Bishop took the mark, but play on was the call. Morgan gets it and squares it up. Foot race between James and Clayton. Numbers with Port Adelaide. Polton comes in to assist. Little handball over the top to James. Back to Polton now. Tapped it on towards Guerra, back to James, and they work it away from half back. James around the members' wing. Teague just read it well, drifted across and took a good mark. So Teague thumps it back towards the wing. Petrie. Guerra came across the front of the contest, tries to win it at ground level. Sliding in was Rawlings for the Kangaroos. Met solidly. And we'll have a bounce. It's Brady Rawlings just gingerly getting to his feet. Matthew Primus crashing in there, one of the biggest bodies in the game. And there he is again, trying to crash through. Stevens slings him to ground. Ball as far as James, who's wrapped up in a tackle by Clayton. We'll have a bounce.
Spider's just got to try something a little bit different with Primus, because every time there is a bounce down, Primus just grabs that front position and just pushes Spider off. He's got to try something a little bit different, Spider.
Kangaroos by 5 points. They've led at every change today. 11 points at quarter time, 17 points at half time, and 5 points at the last break. Chance for the Kangaroos, just 35 metres out from goal. Port Power defending stoutly. Schofield leading the race for the ball. Good body work that time by King. Carr works hard. Stevens has been a star for the Kangaroos today. Pickett looks dangerous. Good target, pulled off the ball. Not paid. He may have been pulled off the ball. And it's through for a behind. Let's have a look at this. As Pickett there. And then definitely pulled off the ball out of the contest. Schofield comes away from half back, looking for Wakeland. Good play by Clayton, keeps the ball alive, squeezed up on the boundary line. Getting back is Kingsley. Great success story. From the Essendon reserves, brought across by Mark Williams when he was coaching the Bombers. And has won a best and fairest, and he's been a star this year. Clayton in front, takes the grab. Pickett wants it short. Harding looks dangerous at the back. Morgan crashed into that time by Pickett. Guerra under pressure, tumbles the ball forward. Franco, one of his rare possessions today. This is possession number 5. Looking for Guerra. Caught in 2 minds. Rocker forces the error. Does a 360, finds Pickett. He's inside 50. Tumbles over the top of Polton. Strength. Can't get past Hutt. Stevens, fantastic tackle. Harding scoops the ball out. Rocker just ambles to the ball. Pounced on this time by Franco. He's caught by Rocker. And there will be a ball up on the edge of the centre square.
So the arm wrestle continues early in this final term, Russell. You get the feeling this first goal could be vitally important.
I mean, we've been treated all afternoon to a really good, hard, slogging type game. And these boys have come out of the 3/4 time huddle and they're still swinging. I mean, it's been a sensational game so far.
Clearances today, 38-24 in favour of the Kangaroos. So they have done very, very well in and around the stoppages. Primus again tried to take it from the ruck. Gets it at ground level, but going nowhere. Another bounce.
As I mentioned, Spider, Kevin, has just got to try something different because Primus grabs front position and he just pushes Spider away. He maybe just come from behind or just go over the top or do something different.
Matthew Primus with 6 clearances and 21 hit-outs today. They go again. And there's Primus again. Well called, Russell. Handball into the path of Schofield. King there to harass him. Guerra from hands and knees, flipped it out. Turnover comes, it comes to Cochrane. 80 metres from goal. Goes inside 50. Morrell over the top. Had a great run at that one. And good strong hands from Digby Morrell, who's kicked 3 goals, 2 of them in the opening term. And a chance to go back and double the Kangaroos' lead to 12 points. Tenth possession coming up, 5 marks. 3 goals, 2 to Digby Morrell. Kick from about 35 metres out, 45-degree angle. Kick on its way from Morrell. He's across the face of goal and has missed the lot. Out of bounds on the full.
Well, that's a bad miss by Digby Morrell. I don't think we'll see him back on the rookies list.
He's certainly earned his spot. I mean, he's got a great passion to play, leads hard, works hard, runs, chases. As I mentioned before, coaches just love forwards who kick goals and maintain the ball inside 50.
Primus the skipper from half back. Goes around the outer side. Stevens, Guerra at ground level, appeared to be taken high, got to his feet. Sweeps the handball looking for James. It was intercepted by Simpson. They pile it again. Umpire will bounce.
Kangaroos by 6 points. That man on screen, Anthony Stevens, has had 19 possessions. He has been fantastic today. It's a big game for the Kangaroos, who are in 9th spot, 8 and 7. And they need to win. They need to beat the top side to keep their finals hopes alive. Simpson, another one of their gun midfielders. Rocker, second grab, couldn't take it. Kingsley keeps his body on line. He's got Harding to beat. He's a clever player. He's over the line for a toss back.
That's the second time Lee Harding has been behind the actual play. He's got to make sure that that's where he gets most of his goals. He's got to be round front and centre at the feet of Rocker and that Morrell, those type of players, not behind, hoping for the ball to come over.
Damien Hardwick just licking his lips there, ready to get back into the action. Franco couldn't take it. He's had a dirty day. Primus puts himself over the ball, playing his 100th game today for Port Adelaide. 120 in total. But the big man has had a beauty. He's had 19 possessions.
22 possessions to 11 in favour of Port Adelaide in this final term, Russell, but not one of them coming in the forward 50. It's been at North Melbourne's end the whole time.
They've worked exceptionally.
Primus trying to get his hands on the ball, and Simpson puts it over. For a big chance for the Kangaroos just 5 metres around from the behind post. Baird on the boundary line. And Harvey, we can see there, just in the background, injured his shoulder. He had 15 possessions until he went off, Brent Harvey. He's been a big loss to the Kangaroos. Simpson can't force it through. Take 2.
It was just interesting there. Sav was going to do the ruck work with Primus, and Spiders run from 60 metres away and wasn't even used. So he's far better to be able to stay back and let Sav do the work.
And just build the wall.
Yeah.
Primus pushing and shoving. Test the strength. Petrie smothered off the boot at ground level. Driven into the ground. And it's a ball up.
Well, Spider's still there. I mean, if you should let Rocker do the ruck work and push back.
There's Burton, Petrie and Rocker all there, capable of doing the ruck work. Getting in each other's way. Rocker takes it from the ruck contest, throws it on his boot, and misses to the left-hand side. So 2 behinds in this quarter to the Kangaroos. No score to Port Adelaide. We've played almost 8.5 minutes. It's going back to being that tight defensive struggle we saw in the first half.
But in Spider's defence, he might have been told by the coach, Dennis Pagan, that you must go wherever Primus goes. So that's the only thing I can think of.
I think so, because the runner did speak to him just before it and sent Burton back up into the forward line. Here is Matthew Primus. Again tries to stand up in a tackle. That immense strength. Gets it to Nick Stevens. The shepherd laid by James on Cochrane. Stevens around the wing finds Treadray for his 11th touch. Treadray's got a man running on for him. It's Montgomery. Sinclair will come late, but Montgomery takes the mark. So Brett Montgomery, you can see there, about 75 metres out from goal. That's what he's got to kick to. He goes inside the 50. Morrell mistimed his jump. Archer takes the mark. Now the Kangaroos break towards the outer side. Brady Rawlings. The ball will sit for him outside defensive 50. He's also got Clayton there in support. Rawlings gathers now, looks up. Will use Simpson on the outer wing. Simpson in time and space. Will kick long inside 50. Wakeland there with Rocker. Rocker tried to get the hands free. It spills to the back, picked up by Morgan. And now Port Adelaide will attack around this members wing. It's Russian roulette football at the moment. Brett Montgomery to Bishop. Bishop to half forward. Corns presents himself. Couldn't quite hang on to the mark. Colbert there has hold of one arm. Play on's the call. Robbins comes in. He's tackled by Corns. Schofield gets it back to Bishop. And Bishop kicks towards the 50 and finds Franco. 6 touch for Franco. Plenty of leads from deep inside the 50. He ignores them all so far. So Josh Franco hasn't gone back very far in his run-up. Now he realises that and just takes a few more steps back. He's going to try and kick at the 55. And he comes. Decides to chip it up to the top of the square. No one else read the set play. And Simpson just comes in and takes an uncontested mark 20 metres out from his defensive goal. Kangaroos will attack around the outer side. Robbins to Colbert. Almost in slow motion from defensive 50. Goes looking for Petrie. Work Montgomery under the ball. Opportunity for the Kangaroos. Rocker one out with Wakeland. Rocker gathers it at ground level. Chips it across his body. The kick partly smothered. When the opportunity goes begging, we'll have a throw in.
The idea was right. Big Sav to just chip it across to his running forward in front of him. But unfortunately, a hand or a foot retarded the progress of the footy. But good idea, though.
We just saw Brent Harvey there sitting on the boundary line. I think his teeth were chattering. It's very cold down there, I can tell. I went down there at half time. It's freezing on the boundary line, but it's hot out in the middle. 11-11-77 the Kangaroos. They lead by 7 points. Port Power 10-10-70. Mighty Mick Martin also
set to go in the
on the bench. Yes. On your marks. Get set. Primus, such a powerful man. Big and strong, imposing. It's a ball up.
It's no wonder he gets so many clearances out himself, because he does maintain that front position. He brings the ball down. If his on-ballers don't get it, he's in there to get first use of the footy.
60 metres out from the Kangaroos' goal. They lead by 7 points. Just over 10 minutes left. Chance for King. Needs a kind bout. It's a wild kick. And it's through from behind.
Actually, that was a good play by Simpson then to try and negate Primus's use of the ball in that ruck ball up. Then he came over the top and hit the ball forward, and King ran onto it. They've got to try and start using things like that to try and get first use of the footy away from Primus.
Kingsley to bring the ball back into play. Schofield. Primus wants it short. Goes to Polton. Still inside defensive 50. Looking for James, who was a star in that third term when he booted 3 goals for Port Adelaide. And Cochrane on screen. He's coming to the side to replace Shannon Grant, who didn't take his spot today for the Kangaroos. Under 10 minutes. Good hands that time by Spider, taken by Stevens and marked by Clayton.
Touched.
It was touched off the boot. Conceded grounds, backtracks and retreats and kicks a wild kick. Needing a kind bounce. Good play by Stevens. Kicks it off the ground. Danger for the Kangaroos. Sinclair has to go. Burgoyne with quick hands. Montgomery had it and lost it. Stevens overruns the ball. Franco ducks the head. Quick play by Montgomery. They force the ball inside 50. They'll pile on top. Desperate players. And Sinclair did well. He had a couple of players to beat. And gets a pat on the head from Simpson. 45 metres out from Port Adelaide's goal. A big play. Primus just stands the ground, puts his big bulk in, and Teague tumbles the ball forward.
Chance for Morrell on the overlap, a hand pass to King. King will go inside 50. Rocker coming back with a flight is Morgan. Rocker gets it to ground level. Opportunity now for Petrie. Steps around Polton. Screws it back to the open goal square. It's bouncing. It hits the post. Harding was running back onto it. Couldn't get there in time. And it hits the post. We still haven't seen a goal in this final term. It's the Kangaroos now by 9 points. We've played 14 and a half minutes. And so close but so far for Drew Petrie.
Well, you've got Lade in the ruck now, and you've got Primus back up full forward. So that's going to be interesting.
Kingsley to Hardwick, back to Kingsley. Now he's got a problem. It's grabbed by Harding from the boundary line. He runs to 10 metres out. Banana kick. Goal! Kangaroos get the opening goal of the final term. Lee Harding almost ran onto an open goal moments ago. Gets his chance now. And it's the Roos by 15 points.
Great play there by Harding. It's interesting. Primus is out of the centre square. He's been pushed to full forward, but he's demanding, he's waving to the coach's box that he wants to go back into the centre. But you've got Lade doing the work here. He's not happy.
Was Kingsley taken high by Stevens? That's the question. Harding gets the goal. The margin back out to 15 points. First goal of the final term goes the way of Lee Harding and the Kangaroos. Laid in the middle of the ground, couldn't get an effective tap out. Hardwick taken down in a tackle by Stevens. Nice and tough in there as it has been all day. Morrell got it to Simpson. Goes towards the goal square. Rocker and Wakeland Ball beats that contest and dribbles out for a throw in. Let's head boundary side. Here's Tiffany Cherry.
Well, the crowd is going crazy, all 9,000 plus of them, predominantly Kangaroos fans. They're cheering North Melbourne, so they're very excited down here.
Big chance for the Kangaroos. They lead by 15 points. Rocker to do the ruck work. And Lade forces it back over the line for a toss back in. Well, the Kangaroos had led at every change today. 11 points at quarter time, 17 points at half time, and 5 points at three-quarter time. They now lead by 15. Morrell's booted 3 goals today, and Rocker 2. Stevens, a look-away handball to Hardwick. Spent a lot of time on the bench after hurting a knee early in the game. Harvey's off also for the Kangaroos with a bad shoulder injury. And that man on screen, Anthony Stevens, has led from the front today. 20 possessions, and he's been tough in the clinches. Put himself right on the line today. Can Port Adelaide come back? Under 8 minutes, they trail by 15 points. They've won 12 out of the last 13. They've won 8 on the trot. King with strength bullocks his way out of trouble. Pinched that time by Stevens to Hardwick. They'll share the ball across half back. Great smaller by Pickett. Kingsley works his way out of trouble. Thought he might have been legged. Stevens beaten on this occasion. A rare occurrence today. Back to Stevens. Sets it up to King. Old heads combined. Two old generals. Digby Morrell tries to push the ball forward. Teague at the bottom of the pack. And it's on 50, and we've got a ball up. And the Kangaroo supporters have just got that feeling they may pull off a big upset.
Well, they've been counter-punching all afternoon, Kevin. They're on the ropes, Port Adelaide. If they're going to win this game, Primus has got to get back on the ball. It's unbelievable. He's sitting up at full forward.
Rawlings, danger here for Port Adelaide. Rocker, good fist away from Wakeland. Wanganeen's got to be desperate, close to the line. Makepeace, long way from the back pocket. Forces Wakeland over.
So time now the enemy for Port Adelaide for the first time this afternoon. The margin 15 points. There's Matthew Primus getting cold about 170 metres from the action. Rocker gets a tap down. Morrell bends it around his body. It's bending back. Not enough. One behind a Digby Morrell. 3 goals, 3 his return this afternoon. And the margin now 16 points.
But both sides have been very brave this afternoon. But the last 2 minutes, you're just seeing the Rouge boys just chucking themselves at absolutely everything.
James towards Wakeland, couldn't quite hang on. Teague goes in and content to wrap it up as Adam Morgan comes to the bench.
And that Teague, young Teague, has been absolutely great this afternoon. He's done the job on one of the most dangerous small forwards around in Jew, and he should be very proud of his performance.
They've lost patience with Jew about 7 or 8 minutes ago. He was sitting on the bench now. Just the 2 touches for him this afternoon. A bounce right on 50 for the Kangaroos. Here's Stevens. Puts it to the hot spot. Here comes Rocker. Got a hand to it at ground level. Kingsley to tidy up. He's got 2 to beat. Harding buries him into the Optus Oval turf. And the Kangaroos happy with that. They're just taking it contest by contest at the moment, Russell. And it's 15 metres out from their goal.
I mean, you just have a look at the body language of David King down here. He's trying to get the blokes to push out, set the wall up, so if the ball does come out, they're going to get first use of the footy.
There he is barking the instructions. Anthony Stevens goes to the far side to build that wall. Wakeland taps it down. Simpson comes in and lays a tackle. 5 3/4 minutes remaining. Port Adelaide need 3 goals. They are on their longest ever winning streak. 8 games in a row. Never beaten the Kangaroos. Rocker and Lade. Rocker just works Lade off it. It's 5 metres out from goal. Polton. Little handball over the top to James. Tried to get around Rawlings. Back to Polton. Kept partly smothered. The Kangaroos have done the discipline thing all afternoon. And they will not let this ball get outside their own forward 50.
And talking about that younger man then, Adam Simpson, who just smothered the footy. He's been absolutely brilliant this afternoon. Not a hell of a lot of possessions that he normally gets, but he's put Franco right out of business. And just the hard discipline things, that he's been excellent this afternoon.
Tackles and Shepherds 90 to 44 in favour of the Kangaroos. That says it all. Stevens throws it over his head. Was looking for the voice of Clayton. Robbins on 50. They pile in again. Yet another bounce as the Kangaroos work the clock down. Just sheer will and desperation here, not letting this ball get out.
They've just got the sniff, they've got the taste. They know what's at the end of this next 2 or 3 minutes. A very big prize for them.
So Primus back on the ball now. Petrie's gone with him. Burton's in there as well with Lade. The tall timber all around it. Lade and Primus get in each other's way. Primus at ground level. James tries to get it outside 50, and again the Kangaroos come in and close it down.
I reckon Primus has called this himself, because you've still got Lade there. Why would you have 2 ruckmen on the footy?
And neither of them seem to know which one was supposed to be going for it.
Matthew Primus, I reckon, has called this shot. The runner's out there at the moment.
Well, it's been a tough 3 weeks for Port Adelaide. They've been to Perth, they've been to Sydney, they've been to Melbourne. Optus Oval is not a happy hunting ground, and the Kangaroos have never lost to Port Adelaide. Cockatoo Collins has to give up the ball. He's kicked 2 goals, 1 in the first quarter, 1 in the third. Polton started on the bench today. He was a hero last week, looking for Corns in front. Coleman, discipline, punches it back over the line. Just a miracle he's playing.
Unbelievable. We saw him last week and he was taken off the ground. We thought he was gone, but up forward he was very good this afternoon, and also up back when he's given the job to run with Corns. He's been very, very good.
Anxious Mark Williams, boundary throw-in. Primus takes that front position. He's had a big game. He's had 20 possessions as well. And Cochrane also has had that job all day playing on Nick Stevens. He's had it 13 times. I think Cochrane's done a pretty good job, considering he came into the side replacing Shannon Grant. Still time for Port Adelaide. Prime is just too big, just puts that big frame in front. Kicked high by Franco. Push out. Should have been a free kick to Colbert. Corns taking the ground. Pickett tumbles over the top. We've got a ball up on centre wing.
Primus got the tap. Port Adelaide got the clearance, Russell.
Yeah, well, look, it's been an enthralling afternoon. Look, still time.
I think what should happen, Russell, is that someone should come over the top whilst they're pushing and shoving.
Like Simpson did about 5 or 6 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And you'll notice when Collingwood are playing, they do it very well with Jason Cloak. He seems to come over the top. Just need that extra player when they're big and strong like Primus. Taken away by James. He booted 3 goals in the third term. High ball, 55 metres out, short of centre half forward. Petrie does well. A young man in a hurry. Primus showed a lot of courage. Kept his eye on the ball. Colbert, good and close. King loves to run. Good kick. Pickett has got it. Here around the 50. Byron Pickett. This could bounce. This could bounce. He's kicked a goal. Byron Pickett. He's kicked 2 goals. Both goals have come after half-time.
Look, it's not one of his better days, Kevin, but what he has done, right from the first bounce to the last bounce, is that he has run, he has chased, he has smothered, he's done all those disciplined things, little 1%ers, and if you do work hard and persist, things are going to work your way, and he has come out and he has scored 2 very important goals after half-time.
So Byron Pickett kicks his second. The margin now out to 22 points. Damien Hardwick's been brave but hobbled to the bench. Tiffany Cherry.
Yes, Damien Hardwick's come off and you wouldn't expect to see him back on the ground. The Kangaroo fans are going crazy down here. It is very exciting.
Stevens towards Clayton. Montgomery on top of him. It's tapped on inside 50 for North Melbourne. Wakeland soccers it off the ground. Rocker there as well. Simpson just hovering, lurking with intent. Flicks it out to Rawlings. Umpire said he threw it.
It was a good call. It was a throw.
Umpire right on the spot. So the ball will come back. Gives the opportunity for the Kangaroos to man up. No 50-metre penalty. Cockatoo Collins outside defensive 50 to Bishop. He takes the mark. 22 points is the margin. Around to Primus. 21 possessions. Tries to take on Spider Burton. Spider's got him. Holding the ball.
Well, that was super play by Spider.
Matthew Primus says he handballed it. Umpire disagrees.
Well, let's have a look. Did he get a fist to it? No, I don't think so. Just dropped it.
Would be a subtle fist at best.
Well, that just typifies the Roos game this afternoon. The biggest bloke on the ground, 208, 210 centimetres, running and chasing down his opponent. A great performance by the big man Spider.
Tallest player ever in the history of the AFL. Spider Burton towards 50. Simpson stands up and takes the mark. He's 60 metres out from goal. He may as well be 600. He doesn't care. He's just going to take as much time as he can. It's down to 1 3/4 minutes. Can go laterally to Cochrane and does. So a wonderful performance from the Kangaroos. Port Adelaide have been brave. Had to come back from 3 goals down at half-time. Got in front in the third term, but the Roos just would not give in. They've kicked 2 goals. Port Adelaide have not scored in this final term. Cochrane dumps it long. They'll contest 20 metres out from goal. A big pack around it off the hands of Wakeland. Grabbed by Kingsley, intercepted by Rocker! Kicks another one! Severio Rocker kicks his third. The margin out to 28 points. And 9,398 fans here at Optus Oval, the smallest crowd we've had at this venue this year. But they are making plenty of noise.
And that was a great goal by Rock. I reckon Sav's been inspired by Dick and Morrell. I mean, to see a bloke up the ground, probably 10 years younger than you, taking marks like Rocker can, running and chasing and tackling. I reckon it's one of the best games I've seen Sav play today with his ability to run, chase and tackle and smother.
Kangaroos by 28 points. That man on screen has booted 3 goals, Severio Rocker. And this great record that the Kangaroos have over Port Adelaide is still alive. Port Adelaide have never ever beaten the Kangaroos. This will be 9-zip today, and Pickett trying to crash his way through Franco. Now the whistle is gone, and the free kick is coming back. Now Colbert is having words with the umpire. He wanted 50 metres further down the field.
Long memory, Lee Colbert.
Yeah, we're saying as long as they are consistent, that's exactly what happened to him. So maybe different circumstances.
Pickett goes short, finds Sinclair. Kangaroos the only side Port Adelaide haven't beaten in the competition. They came here today, 8 wins on the trot, 12 out of their last 13. On top of the ladder, 12-3. But the Kangaroos have prevailed today. They have led at every change. 11 points at quarter time, 17 at half time, 5 points at three-quarter time. They lead by 28 points as Sinclair pumps this ball right to the goal line. Rocker! Couldn't take it off hands. Bishop heads straight over the line for a toss back in as the time clock ticks away. It's a big win in the context of the Kangaroos season. This will make them 9-7, and their hopes of playing in the finals are still alive. Boundary throw in on 40. Harding tied up in the tackle. Takes it over the line.
Kevin, when we looked here this afternoon, it was about 5 degrees and there was about 3 people out there watching. And look, this has been one of the best games I've seen, just the way in which the Roos have committed themselves, the counter punches from Port Adelaide when they've been under the pump, and the way in which the Roos have gone about their business in the last quarter. It's been great, a great spectacle.
Clayton, centering kick, Makepeace. Well, another kick after the siren. How many times have we seen it? This season there's been about 6 kicks after the siren. This one not to win the game, of course. But Kangaroos are absolutely jubilant. I thought Anthony Stevens today was great.
Look, he's one of the all-time great Kangaroos players, and that goal, Kevin, just right on half-time really did give him that spark, although Port Adelaide did come out and kick the next 3 in the third quarter. But he's a great leader and one of the all-time great blokes who have ever played AFL footy.
Troy Makepeace from just 40 metres out, leans back and casual as you like, kicks it behind. His arms went up. He was very, very excited. He thought he'd kick the goal, but it doesn't matter. They have won by 29 points, the Kangaroos. Byron Pickett on screen. Not one of his better days, but he did fire after half-time. Byron Pickett did a couple of really nice things, kicked a couple of goals. Lee Colbert, well, he's the miracle man. We didn't expect to see him, Russell.
No, well, last week, Kevin, we called that game. He came off the ground. We thought he was gone for the rest of the year. 3 or 4 days later, everything's okay.
Let's head down to the boundary line. Here's Tiffany Cherry.
Well, Anthony, you just embraced your brother, but you must be absolutely wrapped.
Yeah, well, we needed this win badly. Set ourselves up for the finals, and you know it's a hard. We've got a few tough games coming up, so we needed it desperately. The boys are sensational today. Port's been sensational so far this year, and just our attack at the ball and our pressure, and that was a credit to the guy.
Well, you broke their winning streak, and for them it's 9-zip now.
Yeah, we're a bit lucky, but you know we had a good contest against Port, and they're tight.
So Anthony Stevens down on the ground, excited there with Tiffany Cherry. The final margin, 29 points. They led at every change, the Kangaroos. 11 at quarter time, 17 at half time, 5 at three-quarter time, then kept the Port Adelaide side scoreless to win by 29 points.
What we stand, we shall.